5 years that was given to the commission for the implementation was too short. That thing should have been 10 years. Yes, 5 years, you've barely understood what you're dealing with. Remember, what you're dealing with is not the constitution. You're dealing with the old constitution, which is what you know. So this new constitution is running interference with what you know. Now, anybody who is in power will not want this new constitution, because the first thing it did was it curtailed the powers of the presidency.
Yes.
Now, it's not just the presidency that is involved.
Okay.
Every other institution that is attached to the executive is also affected.
Yes.
So people are used to power, absolute, complete. You do what you want and you say what you want.
And how you want it when you want it.
And people do what you tell them to do.
Yes.
Now you have this new constitution that's saying, actually,
you have to you have to refer.
Yeah, please, you need to consult. And also this one, there's this thing that we are calling public participation. If it's not there, you have a problem.
By the way, speaking of which, public participation wasn't there in the previous constitution.
Public participation for what?
See, for whatever.
So you had leaders who knew. So you elected them because they know.
Yes.
And they would represent you because they know.
Yes.
So where is Shikalain Baba? Is
that where we used to have President Moi just wake up and make declarations, what we used to call roadside declarations? Udoga leo siti ameua Minister of Information.
Done.
And it's a wrap.
Bro, now that's real, raw, uninterrupted power. Meaning, he speaks, it's done.
And there are people who used to get fired on a similar manner.
Bro, you're gone.
You're driving to work, kutoka leo, Mungala movie, Ayugo Radio Generation.
You're done. The first thing, if you're driving
and you're on the expressway,
gari mengia mtaro.
Kwanza nasikia makarao alikuwa anasimama wanakushukisha. They're like, I'm sorry sir, mheshimiwa.
Hata driver wako ndiye atakwambia
kazi imeisha.
The kind driver says, mzee, kuna hii kitu labda wewe hujui iko hivi. Si nikurudishe nyumbani.
Oh, at least the good one will take you back home.
They'll take you back home. Mzee, nikurudishe nyumbani. And then kwa sababu iko hivi na hivi na hivi. Yes. The point is,
yes,
the new constitution in many ways sought to rectify some of these things, because we had seen what happens when presidential or executive power is not actually checked.
Okay.
Because remember, in those days, there was no Judicial Service Commission. The president appointed judges, just so that you understand.
He even appointed the Chief Justice.
Yes, he did. And members of parliament became ministers.
Oh yes, that I remember.
So what would happen is, if you're a member of parliament, there was always this hope that you might be made a minister. So it was easy for you to toe the line.
Yes.
Okay? But there were a few who didn't really want any of those things. And
because there were ministers and assistant ministers. So you'd actually become an assistant minister as
you could become. And also the number, the president could decide. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is the president could decide anything. New constitution said, no, this is not good. It has its problems.
Yeah.
We need to curtail this. And this is what we need to introduce. Remember, Uhuru kept complaining, but you guys want me to do these things. I can't. There are things I actually can't do.
Yes.
It was an honest confession, because actually there are things he actually can't do. Because you do it, you're going against the constitution. But you see, even as he said it, there are things the courts would pronounce themselves on, and then he would ignore the court.
Yeah. Like, ile tu Rosafi, just ignore that thing and act a fool.
Yes. Now, the current executive tells you, some of these things that the court is pronouncing is unconstitutional. So he will not obey them because they're unconstitutional. Say that job of determining whether it's constitutional or not is the court,
yes.
Not the executive. So, wacha kuingilia kazi ya wengine.
We fanya ile yako.
Ile yako. Now, do you see how confusing it is? Because
yes.
all these fellows who are in power were there when that executive power that the president had was in force. So they know what it's like. And many of them probably wanted this job because they felt, if I'm in this job, this is how I'll go about the business. Unfortunately, this new constitution told them, sorry.
It doesn't work that way.
It honestly doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Now, that's why all these independent institutions were created. When you say independent, that's actually what it means. And then they attach tenure of office. So you actually can't go around sacking that person. Before the president gives you the job, he can wake up in the morning and decide you're not doing that job, and that's the end of that story.
But the moment you have it, it's a wrap. It's over.
Yes. But now, there's my friend. Hi. There's tenure, which means if it's a 7-year tenure, unless there's something you've done wrong which they can prove is wrong, and then you have to go to court.
Under chapter 6.
My friend, you have 7 years to do that job. They can make noise, they can do what they like.
They can hate you, they can love you.
Sawa kabisa.
But 7 years unagonga.
The guarantee was that so that you do your job and you don't fear.
Yeah.
Okay? There's always a clauses that are put in to remove you should you also feel that you yourself are an absolute power. But beyond
or you
that,
as the head of this commission.
You feel just like, this is my commission and I'm the one who's going to decide.
I can do whatever.
Yeah, do you hear? Now, the check and balance, if you ask me, is the fundamental fulcrum on which this particular constitution was based, and it's what is being fought. Leadership in any form in this country resists accountability.
Yeah.
We do not like accountability. We like accountability on our terms.
Okay. Yeah. You can check me, but up until where I tell you.
No, you will check me because I will tell you what public participation is. I will tell you. Yes. Once I've told you, you comply, then we've had public participation.
And we're good to go.
Somebody goes to court, the court says that is not public participation. It did not meet the minimum threshold. Rudy.
In a 2.0?
Yes.
Scratch, Mwanze from scratch.
Yes. But then it also gives the executive and those in power this excuse. But the courts decided we can't do it, so what do you want us to do? Okay? The courts tell you go and sort it out.
Yes.
This NGCDF is an example. The courts give them a whole year to sort it out, to legislate and make sure that it is legal. They were told, this thing is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Go and make it. So you're the body that legislates. Go and sort it out. 290
people could not agree.
No, they couldn't agree.
Actually, 290 plus the 47 counties, plus the nominated ones.
This is now where the leadership of the political leadership in this country are at crosshairs with the citizenry. It is not a complicated thing, but because, again, of that one animal that we keep encountering, it's called self-interest. Something that ought to be legislated in order that the citizenry benefit.
Yes.
Your self-interest must form a blockade. Your self-interest must interfere with it.
But why?
Because the self-interest has been entrenched in our system. It's entrenched, actually.
Yeah.
The thinking and the decision-making process always circles around to that. Why is it that our public hospitals don't have medicine, and yet we have KEMSA, which buys and even supplies? Why?
And the medicine actually is in some stores just getting expired.
Yes, or sometimes they just buy some that is close to expiration, which means it will be very cheap. So it expires quickly. That money is gone.
Yeah.
Check and balance. When you ask about how did this happen? Ooh, round in circles. That's Parliament's job. Okay? Money was spent. Now, why do you think that all our stories, when we look at some of the things that happen in the country, why do you think they all have to involve money?
Because money is basically what we run on.
Yes, it is it's at the center of all these conversations. People have disagreed. Money.
Yeah.
There's a problem. Money.
So a piece of legislation can't go through money.
Yes, it is. People haven't agreed because for us to do this thing, you need to do this. Why do you think the other day when you told me that, or rather when we were reading in the papers and there was this tiff between the President and Parliament, and you heard me say, indeed, there's a God in heaven.
Yes.
If this is real,
Kaende.
Parliament will at last start doing what they're supposed to do. And we've seen them doing it. There's some 2 bills in Parliament which were supposed to sail through, didn't sail through.
Exactly.
And now they're in recess.
See what I told you? It's all about representation, legislation, and oversight.
Yeah.
Ukiwa pesa ikitolewa tu hivi kando ni hivyo.
I see. We are back to the NGCDF.
Okay, no. Let's focus on Katiba Day. Now that the president has decided to make 2, so is it like a public holiday or it's just a day to reflect on our constitution?
So
is it hatukuji kazini?
No, I don't know whether he has the powers to declare a holiday the day he wants.
I was about to tell you, tomorrow I'll be sleeping.
This job we have falls under the category of emergencies, so there is no way you're going to sleep.
During COVID-19, essential services. Yes. Yetu lazima tukuje.
Bro.
All right, so that's actually a good conversation around Katiba, and tomorrow we'll definitely get deeper into it. But right now, though, do you have a proverb in the absence of the train that Patricia usually gives us?
You know, today in some parts of the world, just so that you can understand, it is celebrated as National Dog Day.
Wagido.
Dog, mbwa.
Like mbwakni.
Wow.
Sheng ni mbwakni.
I have no idea what mbwakni is.
See, I'm telling you, dog.
Dog is called mbwakni.
Okay, there's, mbwa, mbwakni is, the point is, today is the day of the dog, eh? So what are we saying? What is the exact name of the day, or the title of the day?
National Day of Dogs.
That's it. National Day of Dogs. In which country?
See, these things, these fellows, our relatives, in those cold places who come up with these things.
Okay.
And they decide, they value animals. Huh?
I get, they do, yeah.
Yeah, so having a day for dogs is not a bad thing. It's, okay.
I mean, we also value our dogs. It's just that we use them for security purposes.
No, we don't value our dogs.
We do.
No, we don't. What do we feed our dogs on?
Mabakshishi.
Yeah, what else?
The food that remained. Bones from the butchery. Unaendanga hapo kwa butchery, unaambia mtu wa butchery, hebu nipatie ile mifupa imebaki hapo.
What else?
I don't know. The last time I had a
these
dog.
relatives of ours in those countries that I'm speaking of, these fair-skinned fellows,
Yeah.
they even have dog food. They even have dog attire. It's an entire industry.
Forget the attire. We also have dog food in the supermarkets in Kenya.
I know.
Yeah.
Do we make them?
No, we import much of that food.
Yes, we can make some. What I'm trying to tell you, we, as a rule,
yes,
you feed dogs what you don't want and what you wouldn't eat. Okay?
Yes.
Then they even have clothes for dogs. They have all manner of things for dogs. They value their pets. So when they have a dog day,
they even have candy. I once saw someone giving their dog candy.
The thing that I found interesting is how somebody dies and in their will they leave everything to their dogs.
And then now, what does the dog do with that stuff?
It buys more bones.
Gives it to a charity. Aye, sawa.
You wanted me to a proverb?
Yes, please.
Ziko nyingi sana.
Okay.
Let me give you a biblical proverb. The proverb is on Proverb 26:11. As a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool repeats his folly.
As a dog returns to its vomit, so does a fool do what?
Repeat his folly.
Okay.
That's Proverbs 26:11.
And the Bible has spoken.
It has spoken. Today, you might hear African proverb kitambo, but there are African proverbs that are
resonate.
I'll just tell you one. Beware of a silent dog and still water.
Beware of a silent dog and still water.
Yes. A barking dog, it's barking, it has seen me. And it's quiet, just looking at you. Hey,
you never know.
You never know. It's just deciding what to bite. Yes.
Which part of the body?
You're going to be bitten, but it's deciding what to bite.
Where to start.
In fact, some of the more lethal dogs, like Doberman, if you ever have a friend who has Doberman, that dog is silent. You can be walking, you don't know, it's actually next to you. When you look, then you realize it's next to you. And it's not threatening, he's just looking at you. Now it's you to decide what that look means.
Yeah.
So, yes. Still waters, they say, run deep.
Yes.
So you're not very certain whether
ukanyange mawe.
Yeah,
utakanyanga uende.
Yes. Ndio hiyo sasa.
All right. Thank you for that proverb. It is now 18 minutes past 6 o'clock. Let's see what is happening on the www.rgk.co.ke website. And without further ado, detectives trace money trail in kwa Binzaro cult death probes. Kwa Binzaro kuna nini huko? Acha tufungue tuone. A story that was written 5 minutes ago, by the way. So if you want to get more of these stories, please log on to rgk.co.ke. Detectives investigating the Kwabinzaro cult deaths have turned their focus on financial transactions, with evidence showing money was used to lure and radicalize followers before transporting them to remote forests where they were starved to death. So far, 9 bodies have been recovered from shallow graves in Kilifi County, with investigators saying the funds financed recruitment, indoctrination, and logistics. Court filings reveal that suspects rented houses in Malindi where followers were sheltered and indoctrinated before being ferried to Chakama. Once in the forest, they were confined, denied food and water, and closely monitored to stop them from leaving. Police named chief suspects as Kahindi Kazungu Garama, Thomas Mukonwe, James Kahindi Kazungu, and Charlene Temba Anido, who are said to have set up homesteads to strictly enforce the fastings. Detectives have already secured court orders to examine bank and M-Pesa records, arguing that the group used money to advance their heinous plans. Do you like what?
Ask.
What the hell?
What do
We sat here with Redemptor, I think it was.
Yes, it was Redemptor's name.
And she was telling us about that situation huko kwa Shakahola. But this thing, it's like every time you read it, it's becoming weird. So these guys used money to lure the suspects. Not the suspects, but the victims. So I send you money to come so that I can kill you, or rather starve you to death. I don't know. What do you make of it? Because I think I'm inclined to go with her whatever when she said that it could be an occult.
It could be. Look at it this way. We have very many institutions in this country. Now, the security institutions that we have are intended very simply to keep the citizenry safe. What you're reading is a declaration, a clear indication that citizenry are not safe. Because if individuals behind such schemes can actually thrive to the point where it's being reported this is happening, it means this is something, it's an occurrence, and it maybe it's continuing and maybe it's larger than we know. Okay? So how did it start and get to a point where it now reaches the media so it can be reported? A lot has happened. So then the discussion then goes back to the security forces. Should the security forces not have seen or known this thing? And those that are in charge with understanding this, you have NIS. These are the intelligence people. If they knew about it, because they pass on information, they are data gatherers. They gather it, they pass it on. So when it was passed on, what then happened? Now, if you want to understand why it is that this homegrown impunity that manifests itself as corruption is a problem, when you institutionalize it, then anything that can involve wrong also involves money and the payment of it. Because when it is wrong, then there's a process that is then followed to either stop it or punish it. Okay? Or stop it and punish it. Stop it and do away with it. Now, those who are perpetrating it will then use this homegrown corruption that we have, impunity, to ensure that they continue doing what they are doing. And all they do is to pay so that you look the other way.
Yeah.
Or you go through the motions of trying to do something, but you never really do anything, so that it is seen that you have done something, but in essence, you've done nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe tell them, guys, slow down the operations for at least a month so that people feel you've done something. And people say, actually, we don't hear of this thing anymore. And then it starts again. The seeds of corruption, once planted, if that particular plant grows and flourishes and gathers to the point where it has branches and has twigs and has leaves, my friend, by the time you're beginning to see it, the tentacles may be very, very deep and may be far spread, because we never look at the roots. By the time something is growing and you can see it has grown, it has roots. That is the reason why you find it growing. The growth is the flourishing. But the flourishing has to do with the roots and where it has gone and traversed to ensure that it gets the nutrition that this particular plant requires. So in our case, the analogy points to something that has gone beyond just what you're seeing. And it involves those who were charged with the duty of ensuring that the citizenry are secure. Such a thing cannot happen without the collusion of those who are in those positions. It is almost impossible.
So are you alluding to the fact that perhaps these guys were actually getting these monies to pay even the security forces or
you
police?
Cannot do
DCI?
Such. You cannot. That magnitude of wrong cannot happen without the security forces knowing. It is not possible. No. So the question you need to ask is the security forces who are in that area. What a simple question. What have they done about it? Yes.
That's the police, the DCI.
The local administration?
Yes.
Yes. Why do you think we have chiefs? Chiefs are locals by design. So they are people who know what is going on. So what have they done? That whole chain of individuals have to answer.
Let's move on to another story then. This one is about SHA. No SHA funds lost to ghost hospitals, according to CS Duale. Now, the Health Ministry has refuted reports that the Social Health Authority has been making payments to ghost hospitals. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, during a media briefing on Monday, said that claims circulating on social media mostly referred to facilities that had already been closed in May, while others had been suspended or downgraded. He urged the public to verify such information through the regulator or the Digital Health Authority website. Aya, unakumbuka tulihost PS Auma here.
We did.
And one question we asked was about how they were going to recover these monies that had been lost to individuals who took loans from Hustler Fund and decided they will not pay. And she said, look, mkono wa serikali ni mrefu. And no matter how long it will take, they will catch up with these individuals. So here's a situation whereby I'm finding a similar statement from CS Duale. He says that, look, hakuna pesa lost. Hizo hospitali mnasema, some of them were closed, downgraded, da. But the question here is very, very, like we saw, there was a report that said money has gone to this particular hospital, and when residents or people or what are they called, journalists went to this particular place, they found that this hospital looks like it has been abandoned for years.
Yes. The title and the nation, the headline, how rogue hospitals tried to steal 10.6 billion. What's the headline in the Standard?
SHA ripoff. That is what they're saying.
Right. The nation is saying something completely opposite. Authorities say that Social Health Authority has saved the country 10.6 billion by rejecting fraudulent claims involved hospital billing for costlier procedures than those actually performed, charges of ghost patients and conversations of outpatient cases into the admission of inpatients. So there clearly is a problem, and there's not a new problem. Remember, one of the reasons why it was said that they were disbanding NHIF was for similar reasons. Okay. Now, the billing isn't automated. It doesn't bill itself. There are people who punch in and there are people who feed the information for this bill to come out.
True.
If indeed this was the case with NHIF, do you really think that all these individuals have disappeared? They haven't. They're Kenyans. They still work. The schemes that were there, if anything, and given how Kenyans think, they'll have improved on ways in which they can actually steal this money. It's not as though they suddenly go away. Now, these headlines tell us there's a problem. Okay?
Yes.
It is a problem that we as Kenyans have.
Yeah.
It's just now manifesting in that particular sphere because it's the same problem that we see in our schools. Schools which don't exist. Students who don't exist. Probably teachers being paid who don't exist. Now, none of these things can happen without the collusion of the authorities, the ministries involved. It's not possible.
Yeah.
In the same way, these things that we are being spoken of cannot happen. The collusion is between those who are in opposition within the authority and those who supposedly run hospitals and all these things. And the truth is that this is actually not new. No. Before this, they are unearthed, an issue is made out of them, some hospitals are closed. Give it time, again you hear of new stories. Meaning, this is something that is entrenched in our system. When I was talking about how it is, we've institutionalized it. Further example of how we've institutionalized corruption. There is a problem. And that problem is that we have guaranteed that corruption is part and parcel of our way of life.
If we can find these kinds of discrepancies in just two ministries, that is health and education, I wonder what is happening in the rest.
Well, it is
agriculture.
But agriculture was I mean, remember the fertilizer issue?
Oh yes.
It didn't, yeah.
And I'm just putting it as an example here.
Yes.
I wonder what is happening in Treasury. I wonder what is happening in every other ministry that we have.
If you read today's papers, there are stories even in that Standard you're looking at of how Nzoia, which is supposed to be part of a government parastatal, the Auditor General unearthed a procurement problem of huge amounts of money of goods that was, when it was asked, where are these goods, have they reached, they said were in transit. 9 years later, they're still in transit.
9 years.
Yep.
Even if someone was pushing them with a cart.
If you're walking with it on your head.
By now, you'd already have gotten all that. Anyway, the point here is, I can only imagine what is happening in every other ministry. Ministry of Transport, Ministry of Works, Ministry of God knows what.
The thing about corruption,
yeah,
it is like a microorganism that is actually alive. You may not particularly see it, but it doesn't mean it's doing harm. Like when you fall sick, there's some microorganism that is responsible for that illness. You don't see the microorganism, but you do feel sick.
Yes.
You do feel sick.
You get the headache, you get the fever, you vomit.
Yes. The fact that we have constant conversations about how the school system isn't quite working well. CBC is not working well.
Yes.
The health system has its problems. That is now the microorganism working.
Yes.
And the microorganism bring about the illness that you see.
Yeah.
Because these institutions are not well.
And I think something needs to be done, and it needs to be done quick.
Well, we are doing something because we're talking about it.
Yeah. Talking about it is not enough. Something needs to be done.
Like what, for instance, my brother?
And I said it here before. Heads need to start rolling.
How should it roll? In which direction? And what needs to happen? So
watu washikwe wafungwe, wengine watandikwa, wengine tuwaone, si kutandikwa, but watu washikwe wafungwe. Na tuone, for example, kama ni CT, CS for health, CT ashikwe na afungwe.
In countries where such things work, there is a moral consciousness that leaders have.
Yeah.
So that when you're mentioned, not proven. When a problem of that magnitude is mentioned, you resign.
Rosafi.
You just push aside, move aside. Wewe na watu wako songeni kando as we look into it. Our culture is someone tell you, I am not going anywhere. In your face.
Fanya kinyo nafanyanga.
So that you understand. They're not yeah, so now, see now with that attitude, you cascade that attitude down. Those who should have been afraid to perpetrate these things feel, what are they going to do? Why do you think in Kenya we have the phrase utadu? Yes.
Utadu?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so what is this thing you think you're going to do?
So umepata ni maybe 1 billion.
Oh, yeah, sawa.
Utadu?
Maybe. Now, if you insist, they'll inform you that there's nothing maternal about that.
Yes.
Precisely.
Or they compromise you and they tell you fanya hivi, nyamaza, shika ino nyamaze.
Yes, please. Yes. Shida nini? Ninja. Shika hii. This one should sort you out.
Kwanza unakaa ni kama hujakula siku mingi. Hebu shika hii.
Yes, so that, look, use this mouth to eat. Here is something to eat. Please go ahead.
And please don't disturb me again.
This thing of talking all the time, watch. If the problem, you come back and tell us what the problem is, we sort it out.
Yeah.
Yes, but you don't need to talk.
Yeah. And if they can't compromise you that way?
There are many others of compromising you.
Let's look at the traffic updates.
Traffic.
Like I told you earlier on, Mombasa Road right now is just bad. So I'm looking at a map, and the traffic has gone all the way back to Gateway Mall. That's how bad it is at this particular hour. Na niliwaambia mapema sana bwana, msifuate hiyo barabara. Yeah, so it has backed up all the way to Gateway Mall. That means watu ambao wanaenda airport, now you're in trouble. What you need to do right now, if you're coming from Kitengela, you're coming from Athi River, just take the expressway in advance, because I can assure you, unless you're going somewhere along Mombasa Road, there is absolutely no need of joining that road at this particular minute. It's literally locked. Hakuna mahali munaenda. So the problem is at, like I told you, let me just tell you where imeanzia. Imeanzia pale General Motors. That is where you're going to find a lot of trouble. After that, where the imefunguka, the traffic is moving well. So, if you can actually join your barabara ya ICD, Internal Container Depot, wendo ukatokezee pale karibu na Bob Mill Mattresses, you're actually safer doing that. If you're coming from sides of Utawala, just take Outer Ring Road. There's absolutely no reason for you to join that road, unless, of course, you're joining it, and then you take the expressway directly from Airport North Road. But right now, it's not moving. It's literally bumper to bumper, and there's absolutely zero need for you to go and add on to that traffic. Where else are we looking at? I'm looking at this barabara inaitwa namna gani. Landis Road, also bumper to bumper this particular minute. Hey, ni mapema sana bana. Mbona kuna traffic mingi hivyo? Afya Center, as you're heading to the August 7th Memorial Park as well, it is bumper to bumper. Let me see. Watu ambao wanatoka mahali panaitwa Westlands. Westlands mko sawa kabisa. No complaints coming from that particular road. Waiyaki way all the way back to 87 in Kino. You guys are moving well. Anything else you need to know about your traffic updates? Do stick around. I'll let you know.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
Our place is nasty right now. It's looking really bad.
Oh, believe me, it's going to get worse. That traffic on Mombasa Road, my friend, is heavy.
Yes.
When it's moving, you don't notice it. You just require 1 minute stoppage and you're shocked at the pile-up.
Yeah.
It is shocking.
Kameshikana.
Oh, yes. And it will get worse. But that means lots of business for the expressway today.
Oh, yes. Na unajua expressway tulio ni nani?
Ni ya wenyewe.
Haya, sawa. Kuna mtu leo atatengeneza pesa.
Ni ya wenyewe.
Kuna watu leo watalala unono. All right, so we're about to get into the newspapers, but before we do that, let me remind you, rgk.co.ke is not only where you'll get the top stories, but you also got to see us in studio, that is CT and myself. You can also check us out on YouTube, that is at Radio Generation Kenya. We're live there. And you'll see a lot of stories by there on rgk.co.ke. For example, the government has said that the cost of living has eased, according to the Treasury of, according to the CS of Treasury. He says as 2026-2027 budget process kicks off. You can get to see that. Governor Nyong'o condemns mass layoffs at state-owned sugar mills and many other stories. Right now, though, the Standard newspaper inasema SHA ripoff. In an unprecedented turn, less than a year after the Social Health Authority started paying claims by hospitals for services rendered in the footsteps of the National Health Insurance Fund, the process has sparked public outrage. Little known hospital quality medical care, but it bleeds taxpayers' funds. Alafu anasema Rural and Urban Private Hospital Association has flagged claim payments to facilities allegedly linked to the SHA chairperson. SHA allegedly made payments to ghost facilities, including some in a deplorable state. Now, we can see...
Then one's a kazi. Read on.
Oh, okay. While majority of Kenyans struggle to access quality healthcare, billions of taxpayers' money is being lost under the new health scheme that was meant to improve access to medical care by disadvantaged Kenyans and curb fraud. A number of hospitals have been flagged for working closely with Social Health Authority leadership to mint millions of shillings while they give little in the quest to improve the country's health services. Claims payments have continued to spark public outrage as questions now emerge on expenditure of taxpayers' funds at the authority, which has promised to weed out graft as witnessed under the defunct National Health Insurance Fund. Ladnan Hospital is among facilities of interest linked to a senior official in the ministry.
Right.
The hospital operates under three names within SHA, that is Ladnan Hospital, Ladnan Medical Clinic, and Ladnan Hospital El-Wak. The Nairobi-based Ladnan Hospital facility in Pangani in Nairobi has received a minimum of 195 million since SHA became operational in October last year, while Ladnan Medical Clinic in El-Wak, Mandera County has received a minimum of 27 million, with some payments not made public.
Right. And then they continue. If you read that story,
yes,
that particular hospital,
right,
is at the heart of the story. Now, I would have hoped that when you mentioned this hospital, because the story preambles itself by telling us that it is they are hospitals, not one hospital.
Yes.
Perhaps a list of the hospitals.
Right.
In this county, is hospitals. In this county. So that when you talk about this particular hospital receiving the lion's share, we can sit and compare.
Yes.
There is a list that is provided there of hospitals that have been paid. There are quite a number. In that same paper, on that same page 4. Okay? But what about the other hospitals that are not mentioned? Are those the only hospitals in this country that have been paid by SHA? The story in my mind is incomplete. There is a pending bill that hospitals are claiming. These rural and urban hospitals, they're claiming could be a hell of a lot of money. Okay?
In the billions.
Oh, yes, they are. What one doesn't hear of is the amounts they have been paid from whatever claims they have, or if they have not received anything, or if they're hospitals that have received nothing and they're still owed. That now is a complete story. Yes, but if some are being paid, and it's indicated some have been paid, okay, start by telling us how many hospitals are there in this country that are private?
Oh, very many.
Precisely.
Yes.
Because the private hospitals seem to be the ones who have an issue. Public hospitals also use SHA.
Yes.
They also get reimbursed. So if you talk about reimbursement, can you give us a comprehensive picture of what this is and how it is happening so that we actually know? So when we look at your headline, we say, yeah, this headline is correct. Clearly, these fellows have a big advantage over the others. Yes, because there are hospitals that are bigger, offer more facilities, see more patients, and they don't receive this sort of a reimbursement. It has to be comparative for us to understand it.
So you feel like this article
No, it targets one hospital.
Okay. You would have wanted, for you were looking at a comparative study.
But that's why when you look at the preamble, they're talking about hospitals. So I expect the story to continue. So you mention that one hospital, then move to another one and tell us about another hospital, and then give us a table, a nice table, so that we see these are the hospitals, these are the payments that have been made so far. Then we say, we understand this story.
Because again, if you go back to the front page, there's a picture here and it's captioned like this: Abdi Mohammed, co-founder and former Ladnan Hospital CEO, currently chair of SHA.
Yes.
And then they say 220 million plus amount the Ladnan group of hospitals received from SHA.
Yes. If you read that story, that hospital is mentioned over and over and over and over again. Is it the only hospital that received money? No.
Okay, ngoja kidogo pia. Aden Duale, the health cabinet secretary, amesema Social Health Authority chairman Abdi Mohammed used to own Ladnan Hospital, but he no longer owns it. There is no conflict of interest. Sasa hapa niko na swali. Fine, I mean, they've targeted one hospital. Fair enough, according to your argument. But does it make it any less fraudulent?
No, it makes it less comprehensive.
Because if I was the chairman of SHA, if I'm the chairman of SHA, and I was the CEO of this particular hospital, and now I have left that hospital. First of all, CEOs most of the times also own the organizations that they chair of, or rather they oversee as executive officer. Would you build a multi-million business, leave it for a government job, and we know government doesn't pay that well, leave it for a government job, and then suddenly that particular place where you used to be is receiving huge amounts of money?
You see, my point exactly is this. Huge compared to what? What are we comparing it to?
Do you want us to compare it to, say, Nairobi Hospital?
I want us to compare it with everybody else whom SHA gives money to. Then we know it is huge. Then we know it is the only hospital that is being unfairly receiving money. I need to understand how many beds it has, the number of patients it sees. I need to compare it with other public hospitals.
Right.
If the public hospital that sees 1,000 patients and this one sees 100, and they've been paid 190 million, and the one that sees 1,000 patients has been paid 20 million, then clearly we will know these people are receiving more money than they should.
No, I don't want to defend the author of that article, but I'm thinking perhaps he or she received some whistle blow of sorts.
It doesn't matter. My friend, that is targeting a group of people when we know the problem isn't with that specific hospital. It's a problem. For it to be a problem, it can't be one hospital. It is many hospitals that are involved. And I'm saying, tell us the whole story so that we can understand. This is a targeted story.
Okay.
We know that Abdi, well, I know that gentleman, by the way. We know he
the chairman of SHA.
Yes. He owns hospitals.
Okay.
Whether he doesn't own them now, I don't know. Okay? The first chairman of SHA who came here, Dr. Lwen, also owns a hospital in Nakuru. Okay? He is no longer chair of SHA.
Okay.
Okay?
So he went back to ownership.
I don't know the details. The point I'm trying to make is this.
Yes.
When you want to write an article like that, please give us more information that when we read it, we can contextualize what you're saying. You mention an amount and you don't compare it with other amounts that other hospitals have received. Then how do we know that this is the most amount of money that one hospital has been paid? You are stating it as though it is the case, and yet for us to agree with you, there has to be some comparison. There's a table there, and the table just talks of many other hospitals that have received. Some are very small amounts, and some are bigger. The point is this. This article clearly targets that particular hospital under this gentleman who happens to be the chairman of SHA. That fellow.
Okay.
He was also at the helm of these rural and urban hospitals. Yes, he was also a leader there in that particular. So the question is this: if you own a hospital, you become chair of the association of those hospitals because you also own a hospital.
Yes.
Ownerships of hospital, there's somebody who will be the head, but there will be very many other investors whom we don't see and we don't know.
Right.
Okay. Tuache hiyo kando. Now, you then become chairman of SHA. All right. So as chairman of SHA, what is it that we are supposed to do? Are you supposed to resign your post? Are you supposed to sell your shares? What are you supposed to do? Because if you do not, there'll be definitely a conflict of interest implied, even before we see what you've done with that position.
Yeah.
You can't own a private hospital, then you're being told you're chairman of SHA. People will impute what? Conflict of interest.
Yes.
Even if there's none, but they'll see it. Now, a story that wants to point to the rip-off, that is the headline there. The rip-off can't be one hospital. Not possible. So explain in detail so that we understand what this rip-off is all about.
Well, we challenge the author of this particular story. That is M. Kahenda. Atuambie. That is Mercy. Oh yes, Mercy Kahenda, the one who wrote this story. So Mercy, perhaps atuambie ni hospitali gani zingine zilipokea pesa.
Yes. Yes. And how much they received over time. Because remember, that amount is from the time SHA was initiated.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about other hospitals, what they've received since SHA was initiated.
Now there's an excerpt here. Hospitals that received highest SHA claims. Iko pa katikati ya page.
Over what period of time?
Iko katikati ya page 4. 96.5 million Rift Valley Provincial General Hospital in Nakuru.
That's a public hospital.
Yes. 87 million Jumia Hospital Huruma. I don't know if Jumia is government or private, but it meant a Jumia Hospital in Huruma. 70 million Kenyatta National Hospital. 30 million KNH Amenity Wing, that is private wing. 67 million Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. 63.5 million Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital and Referral Hospital. 59.5 million AIC Kijabe. 52.3 million Lions Sight First Eye Hospital. 36.7 million Chiron Medical Diagnostics and Imaging Hospital Limited. 29.8 million Metropolitan Hospital. 25 million Nyahururu Sub-County Hospital. 23 million Pumwani Maternity and Referral Hospital. And then there is 3.1 billion total amount of claims paid to hospitals.
Yes, over what period of time?
Sasa hapa ndio just, I mean, I don't want to read the entire page.
You will not find what I'm asking. It's not there.
Okay.
It's not there.
Accumulatively by May this year, Ladnan Hospital received, okay, still talking about Ladnan.
Ladnan keeps appearing. When I said it's targeted, I'm actually just telling you what that article has done.
Hey. But anyway, the point here is, at least we've been, I'm assuming perhaps like Rift Valley Provincial that received 96 million compared to what Ladnan received of 180, or is it 185 million?
The point
or
I'm trying to make, my brother, is that they should give us an indication of the amount and the period for which that money has been paid. Yes. Or start from when SHA was initiated and how much money has been received by this hospital to date. Then, because that's what they're saying, this is 190 from the time. So then give us that correlation.
Yes.
All these hospitals you mentioned, from the time SHA was initiated, what have they received?
I don't know if Mercy Kahenda is listening to us, but Mercy, at Radio Gen KE, please tell us the questions that City is asking. Ebu City, ask them out loud again.
I'm saying,
yes,
when you start by talking about the amount of money a certain hospital received over a period of time,
yes,
then you must, with that same trajectory, when you give us a list of hospitals and what they've received, you must tell us the period of time.
Yes.
You've mentioned the amount and the hospital. We understand that. Over what period of time?
And then you also want other hospitals mentioned.
Yes, and then when you say billions have been spent, all right, over what period of time? Okay, and to which hospitals? Because those amounts that they mentioned there don't even amount to 1 billion. And yet, the except at the end says billions.
1.3 billion.
Yeah, and you're here. So, if you do the maths there, there's no 1.3 billion.
Kwani, City, just how much time do you have on your hands?
Me?
You even did this calculation?
Why don't you just do the calculation? It's not difficult. You just mention the amount.
So we have 96.5 million. We have 87.06 million. The 70 million. Bude pesa itafika. Okay, haitafika.
Endelea tu.
Lakini bude pesa itafika.
Please continue.
So we said 87 million, there's 70 million, there's 30 million, there's 67 million, there's 63 million, there's 59 million, there's 52 million, there's 36 million, there's 29 million, there's 25 million, there's 23 million.
Okay, read the end of it. What do they say?
3.166 billion. But billion. She cannot write here every other hospital. We have hundreds of hospitals in Kenya.
My friend, I will rest my case.
Yes.
That article is what you call a hack job. You're focusing on one particular hospital. This story is bigger than one particular hospital.
Can you invite Mercy Kahenda here?
By all means.
To the show?
Yes.
So, Mercy, if you can hear us at Radio Gen KE or DM me at Mungala Movie, we see how we can have this conversation, because clearly CT is not a bit convinced at all. What's on your end of the papers?
I'm looking at The Nation.
Yes.
And their same story, their headline is how rogue hospitals tried to steal 10.6 billion. And they say the Social Health Authority has saved the country of 10.6 billion.
Yes.
Okay? Involving, and what they've done is they've rejected what they consider fraudulent claims. Okay? These are attempts which involve hospital billing for costlier procedures, meaning they've removed your tooth, but they're saying they removed all your teeth, that sort of thing. So,
okay.
Then those actually performed.
Yes.
Charges for ghost patients, meaning the patient never existed,
yes,
but you're being charged. And that patient, first of all, they removed the head, then returned it. Then after that,
they decapitated it.
That thing a very costly affair.
We have an Einstein monster just walking around.
But the patient is now recovering nicely.
Yes.
Like in the SHA, you need to pay for ABCD.
Yeah.
Now, according to this article, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale on Monday said that as a result of the fraud that he was speaking of, 1,029 rogue hospitals have either been closed or downgraded.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the article. Same story, different approach to the issue that we have.
Okay.
Yes.
So at least they're not all over the place with a single hospital.
No. If you want to target corruption, then you need to actually give us something a little more comprehensive so that we understand.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like Mercy Kahenda probably has, she had a direction she was taking, and perhaps, like you've put it, perhaps she needs then to elaborate a bit more. But I think that she has a story here. There's a story here for sure.
There is a story, and that story is bigger. Let me repeat, you heard me say it is bigger than what we are reading there. There should have been at least 4 hospitals mentioned in that, even just 3. But it's 1. And then details of why it is a rip-off. Have you read anything that deals the rip-off? It is a conflict of interest that has been pointed to. This person was chairman of this, is now this, conflict of interest. But the headline, rip-off.
Yes.
So, when you say that certain hospitals have been fraudulently paid, it's incumbent upon you to support that.
You need to substantiate.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
So. What else are you reading on the paper?
I'm looking at the Star, and they say pension jackpot. Judges edge closer as political elite queue. A wave of pension demands threatens to overwhelm the national treasury. You know this story, this is Kenya, okay?
Yes.
Remember, once upon a time, members of parliament did not actually have any pension to speak of. Then they came up with a nice perk where you have a travel allowance, you have this. What the general would pick up things where they have abused it. But what is interesting, they also said, if you're a 2-term MP, then you're eligible for pension.
Yes.
They decided, Abana, even 1 term you can be eligible for a pension.
Abana.
Okay. The point is this.
Yes.
This thing has now moved from there. Okay? And let me read just the beginning of the article. They say judges could soon be entitled to lavish lifetime pension benefits, even as ballooning cost of keeping retired state officials comfortable becomes under the spotlight. Judges, MPs, and members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission are reported to have struck a concession on a proposed law that would guarantee senior judicial officers hefty retirement perks. the push comes as other political elites, governors, MCAs, ex-councillors, former MPs not covered under the existing schemes also demand pension packages. Everybody wants a pension package.
Bwana, nini mfungue biashara?
And you see, this is how Kenyans believe they should make money. You make sure that you get as much government money as possible.
Yes.
That is now Kenyan doing business.
That's how they become entrepreneurs.
They consider entrepreneurial if the MPs have it. So the burden on the taxpayers' money has just increased.
Yeah.
Okay. Pension, though, has to do with monies that you earn, part of it being put away. If that is the case, and then your employer is supposed to add something to it.
Yes.
If there's that understanding. But if the pension doesn't reflect what you have put away over a period of time, then the taxpayer, somewhere along the line, is going to shoulder this burden.
Yes.
But this is a story that is worth looking into. I'm reading what has been written. We look into it so that we can have a more robust debate on it.
But to make, if we're being honest, it doesn't really make sense for a one-time MP to get a lifetime of pension, because that would mean all I need to do is just make sure I'm in there once, steal as much money as I can, then I come out, whether I win the next election or not, I can just chill. I have a pension.
Most pensions involve you, the person who's being paid, and you putting away money.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes.
So if there's a threshold you must reach for you to be able to be given this lifetime pension, and that's what they're talking about, then it is fine. But when
one term, no.
I don't even have a qualm with that one term.
Yeah, I do have.
I have a qualm with what is the minimum threshold that you must have saved for you to qualify. Yes. Over what period of time?
Okay.
Yes. And remember, this is money that is given to people who deal with these things. They are insurance entities that specialize in managing such funds for purposes of insurance. So if that is what we're talking about, then it is fine.
Okay.
It means a lot more money will be deducted from whatever it is you're being paid. And so at the end of your tenure as a judge or whatever it is, you'll have some money that you can fall back on. Makes perfect sense.
Judges are okay. Earning. I was talking about MPs, but judges hawana shida yote. If you're a judge, I'm sure majority of them will work until retirement. And judges retire at what? 60 or is it 70?
Supreme Court maybe is which is at 70. I'm not certain, but I think it's 70. The point I'm trying to make is this.
Yes.
If you have a pension scheme and you give it to actuaries who actually understand what they're doing, what is being talked about can happen. It can happen because it is your money that is being invested, and it is your money and the benefits accruing from it that you get at your retirement.
Yes.
There is no problem. But if in any way this involves money that comes from our hand and taxes,
kidogo itakuwa tricky.
Then that one will have a problem.
Yeah.
So I will look more into this story and see what exactly they're talking about.
All right, before we take that news break, hapa kuna hii story ya gloom at 15. 2010 constitution on trial. This is still the standard, As the country prepares to mark Katiba Day tomorrow, following President William Ruto's declaration, a cloud of gloom continues to envelop its implementation as his administration strengthens violations selectively, implementing what favors it, and races towards establishing a vindictive and authoritarian presidency. Our story is on page 8. So tomorrow, as we celebrate Katiba Day. So they're saying gloom at 15. Oh yeah, so we are counting from the date it was promulgated, which was in 2010. Okay. So the constitution at 15.
Well, we will see. It lends itself to an interesting discussion.
Yeah, I mean, people have been saying for a very long time that, and a lot of our guests here have actually also said the same thing, that the current president was never for the constitution, and perhaps that is why we are seeing a lot of unconstitutional things just going on.
But that argument falls flat on its face because Uhuru Kenyatta was for the constitution, and he himself helped bastardize it enormously during his tenure. So what the position that somebody had in the year 2005, over time people
doesn't
changed.
make sense now.
That. So what if he was against it then? It was 2005.
Yeah.
Do the maths. 20 years ago. That's when we had the referendum on the constitution.
When we voted.
Yes, oranges and bananas. Yes. So now, that's enough time for someone to have changed their mind.
Aye. So. This is where we come to a close as far as this conversation is concerned. And in the next hour, we do have our guest today, PS, Dr. Oma Oluga. He's actually in the building. Ashafika amepatiwa kahawa yake, and he's ready to have this conversation with us. And of course, we shall ask him about this SHA situation and what he thinks about it. And of course, many other conversations surrounding our health institutions and the state of the health, actually, of the health cabinet, of the health ministry, and so much. And so on
and so forth.
And so on and so forth. Sasa wacha nikunywe maji pia mimi ndo nikuje nipate ulimi umekuwa laini ama ukakuwa ni nyororo.
Radio generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Health Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale has dismissed claims of Social Health Authority payments to ghost hospitals. He said flagged claims circulating on social media regarding certain facilities, stating that the majority of them were already closed in May. He said that many facilities were closed, suspended or downgraded, calling on the public to verify the information. He said the regulatory actions affected several counties, including Mandera, Homa Bay, Kisii, Wajir, Nairobi, Bungoma, and Kisumu.
The facilities you found circulating in the social media are facilities that the majority of them were closed on the month of May. And you can check with the website of the regulator. You can check with the DHA. They were closed. Some were suspended. Some were downgraded, mainly in number of counties. Mandera County, Homa Bay County, Kisii County, Wajir County. Kenyans, the social media are telling us, you are telling us information that already we have. But we want genuine Kenyans who come to us every day, who report to us every day, who have become our whistleblower, and what they tell us is exactly what our system, our forensic auditors have picked.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has said that Kenya's cost of living is easing, citing falling inflation and lower prices of basic commodities. Mbadi dismissed claims that the reduction in inflation was linked to technical changes in economic reporting, insisting the decline was real and reflected on households' budget. According to the CS, data shows that prices of essential goods such as maize flour, fuel and sugar have eased. He was speaking as the state launched the 2026-2027 budget making process in Nairobi on Monday.
So these are real data. That is the cost of living. Cost of living is about cost of basic commodities. And the statistics are there. And I don't think there is anyone who can dispute it. And if you want to know that that is the reality, early 2023, when we really felt that the cost of basic commodities could not be afforded by ordinary people, we had sufurias on our heads. Today, how many people are in the streets with the sufurias on their heads? I don't see them.
The National Police Service has responded to a media story which armed goons raided a business premise along Kimathi Street in Nairobi's Central Business District. Police says detectives investigating the incident that took place last Friday at Nanak House established that it was a deliberate attack on 4 businesses linked to an internal civil dispute already before court. The NPS says one suspect has been arrested and more arrests are expected. The service added that the CBD remains one of the most secure areas to conduct business and the overall security situation in the country is commendably good. 13 years ago, more than 100 people were killed in Tana Delta in Tana River County in what is referred to as the Riketa Massacre. Years later, leaders from the region are renewing calls for for the national government to compensate the victims and their families. The clashes between pastoralists and farmers in 2012 remains in Kenya's memory as one of the worst cases of ethnic violence outside the post-election crisis. The attacks were said to be retaliatory between the Orma and Pokomo communities over pasture.
Hiyo siku sijalala kwangu nyumbani. Nimelala kwa mamake bwanangu. Asubuhi mamake bwanangu akaniamsha nikaenda kwangu nyumbani. Kidogo tu nilipofika nyumbani ilikuwa kidogo tu nikasikia kwamba hao walifu wameshafika hapo. Ilikuwa mimi niko na mtoto mmoja nikaanza kukimbia, nikaingia hapo kwenye misikiti ndio tukapata nafasi tukakaa.
Tunasema hao watu wa Riketa, Kilelengwani, watu wa Kipao ambayo wamepoteza maisha kwa ajili ya jambo ya kisiasa, tunasema pia wafidiwe vile wamechukua ahadi.
Elon Musk's company XAI and X filed a sweeping U.S. antitrust lawsuit on Monday against Apple and OpenAI. The lawsuit alleges the tech giants formed an illegal partnership to stifle competition in artificial intelligence and smartphone markets. The 61-page complaint filed in federal court in Texas accuses Apple and OpenAI of entering an exclusive deal that makes OpenAI's ChatGPT the only generative AI chatbot integrated into Apple's iPhone operating system while blocking rivals like XAI's Grok. And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. Indeed, this is Radio Generation, the home of hard truths and bold insights. It is the People's Breakfast. And this morning, we want to talk about conversations around advancing Kenya's health system. With us in studio is none other than Dr. Oma Oluga. He is the Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services, that is at the Ministry of Health. My name is Mungala Mbuvin. Of course, City is with me in studio. And before we get to introduce the PS, wacha tu nisome salamu mbili hapa. There's Ben Mbote Adore. Anasema listening from Lake Simbi, Nyaima as usual, Salimia City. We have Soldier Boy saying live from Atlanta. Morning, guys. City, from your proverb, that's why the eagle doesn't eat the chicks of a duck but goes for the hen. And then, of course, we have questions here for Dr. Oluga. So I will read them when we get to that point of question and answer. But David Chumo, I can assure you that PS already ameshapata swali yako na amesema atakujibu as we go on with the show. But PS, karibu tena sana to
Asante
Radio Generation.
Sana, my brother Mungala.
Yes.
City. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Daktari.
It's been a long time,
It's been long, yes.
There's a lot that is happening in the health sector.
Yeah.
Some of it good. Actually, majority of it very good. People are happy. But of course, there are a lot of questions surrounding the health ministry.
That's true.
For example, we saw a lot of issues in the last couple of weeks, last couple of days surrounding just SHA. We've seen the CS also just clamping down on some of those issues. But perhaps you can give us the state of health of that particular situation as far as SHA is concerned. A lot of, actually this morning, we can see even on the Standard newspaper, I don't know if you've had the chance to read, saying that SHA rip-off, and they've gone on to say, the author has gone on to say that in an unprecedented turn, less than a year after the Social Health Authority started paying claims by hospitals for services rendered in the footsteps of the National Health Insurance Fund, the process has sparked public outrage. Little-known hospitals associated with senior government officials have been paid huge amounts ranging in the millions of shillings, but not commensurate with the services they offer. I don't know what you have to say about that.
Yeah, so I think you are right that there's a lot of concerns in the public, and those concerns are because of transparency, because we gave that information to the public. It's not because anyone went to dig for that information. So I think the outrage is legitimate, and but the outrage should be credited to us in terms of
transparency.
You cannot. So I think Kenya says sometimes you should give us credit. So the first thing you should give us credit for is giving you the information.
Yes.
Okay, because there is no time in the 62 years of NHIF that anyone ever read a claim of how much a hospital has been paid. This is the first time in the history of the world that you can go on a website and see that this hospital was paid this much. And that is part of the transparency and accountability that we want to institute. So the accountability is both on ourselves, but also on the facilities. So we call it social accountability. Like the facility must also account. So just like we have to account why the hospital was paid, the facility must also account to the public that everyone comes from some place.
Yes.
So if a facility is located somewhere, the people will know. No. This one here, they don't see people, and that's part of the good thing. But fundamentally, from a government perspective, two things are important. One is instituting mechanisms for verification and identification, verification, and payment of claims. And number two, which is very important, is that Kenyans get the service that they require. So I will talk about the healthcare system the way it is set up right now. But what is very key for our viewers and the Kenyan public to understand is that every single claim means that somebody should have gotten a service.
Yes.
So where the discussion is was somebody paid for a service that was not offered, or somebody was paid for a service that was exaggerated. Okay? So I think those are the only two things. So either a service was not offered but somebody claimed, or a service was offered but then it was exaggerated. So I think those are the only two places, and I think what we are doing right now is clamping down on most of these facilities. We have even met with the private medical insurance providers, the MIPs, the private ones, because they are suffering a bigger problem than SHA. So the fraud in generally Africa, Kenya, is anything between 28 and 35% in the medical sector, and it's in small and big ways. Small ways is, for example, you buy Panadol. That Panadol costs 30 bob, but you've been charged 1,500 in the hospital, and citizens don't know.
Yeah.
So, in fact, forget about even the claims that
does that happen though?
Yeah, it happens all the time in the private sector. You saw the other day private insurances, all of them suspended Nairobi Hospital. Why?
Yes, I did.
Because they say that this CT scan that is worth 16,000, Nairobi Hospital wants to charge 35,000. So I mean, it's an entire country conversation, and we have brought that conversation to the table. Why have we brought that conversation to the table? Because we are very keen to make sure that the cost of healthcare goes down, and it will go down.
Yeah.
Now, of course, not to brush aside those concerns. So far, we have closed down 728 facilities.
And these government facilities? Public facilities,
are private and public, both of them, but mainly private, and also downgraded 301 facilities, largely public facilities. And that is because people, some of these facilities were being upgraded, and let me use this word politically, where somebody goes to push, and this is a level 3 facility, but then because maybe the member of parliament or somebody is powerful, then they push it to be a level 4, and then it is registered as a level 4, and then it is, we come to SHA. SHA pays for what is actual. So you start looking at the services, and then you say no, this
is not a level 4.
This can't be a level 4 service. Then we talk to the regulator. The regulator is different from SHA. So SHA does not accredit the facility. There is somebody else called the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, the one that is responsible for registering the facility. So SHA can only say, this facility that you are saying is a level 4, and I'm seeing these claims, they are not giving services that are commensurate with a level 4.
Yeah.
Then the regulator goes there and then downgrades it. So just that alone, 301 facilities. Part of the outrage right now are facilities that those payments were in April, partly June, and then the action was taken, as you've noted. So I think the public is 1 month late, but it's because we've given them the information.
All right.
But it's legitimate, and it's something that we are working very hard with them, and this is how we want it to be, that we are all together. So that information will be there. We will all move together until we get to the point where kila mtu hapa inchi ni mwanamkweli.
Yeah. You've mentioned shutting down some public-private hospitals as well. So, for instance, we have the issue of private hospitals that are quote-unquote rogue or have been or are under investigation. We have that situation with Medihill. Maybe you can tell us from a ministry perspective, what actions have you taken? And
yeah, so I think I may not comment much on specifically on Medihill, but there were allegations on issues about kidney transplants.
Yes.
That there were malpractices and unethical practices. So what we did was to constitute a committee that was led by Professor Bukusi Elizabeth, and she did quite a wonderful job together with a good team there. And there is a very huge report that has been given out of the 400 transplants that were done. I think they perused all the files, and there's a huge report that we've tabled at the Ministry of Health, and we have given that report now to the DCI. We've given it to the Attorney General. We have also given that report to the regulator to take action, because the committee has recommended some specific actions. The actions are specific to the Ministry of Health, relate to review of the policy and the transplant regulations, which we are doing.
Wow. All right. And to the victims, anything?
Yeah, they have also recommended, they actually did interview the donors. They also interviewed some of the
patients,
and they are a raft of recommendations, including how the people who did organ donations can be supported. Yeah.
When you talk about facilities being shut down, just walk us through the process. How do you qualify to be shut down?
So how you qualify to be shut down is that you have registered as a facility. So when you do, so first of all, the way you apply to be registered. So City Muga decides, I want to open a hospital. So you go somewhere, you look for a good location, you look for a good building, or you build it, you look for the services that you want to put there. You come to do what is called sanitation inspections. The sanitation report comes out. Most sanitation inspections are done by county governments, but they are just sanitation inspections. So how you will manage waste, whether your facility is in a residential area and it will disturb other people, like for example, where people are sick, people will be coming, people are vomiting, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of things. So there are some rules about where a facility can be and which kind of a facility. So you may find, okay, you're in this place, maybe this can be a clinic. This is going to be a maternity, it has to be in a specific location, so you meet those rules. Once that sanitation report is done, you apply to the Medical Council. The Medical Council looks at the sanitation report and then sends their inspectors. The inspectors look at three things. One, they look at the state of infrastructure.
The inspectors are
from Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists
Council. They
are
trained health practitioners.
The inspectors are a mix of people. One, they are people who are inspectors of buildings. Number two, there are people who are inspectors of the services. They are trained health professionals. And then there are people who are inspectors of plants. You're going to be using, for example, you're going to be using machines and things like that. And then, of course, there are public health people as well. So those categories. So they come, they look at the services. Now, the people who look at the services, they look at how are you going to offer this service. Okay, you have Dr. Luga. Dr. Luga is a physician. Dr. Luga can prescribe. Dr. Luga can treat cancer. So then they categorize you based on that service. Now, that service is what makes you a level 2, a level 3A, a level 3B, a level 4, because of the service that you said you are offering. Now, what many people do is that they open a facility. they bring Dr. Luga, who is a physician, during the time of inspection. They submit Dr. Luga's CV. They bring nurses who are specialized. They submit their CVs.
Yes.
They bring a good X-ray machine, a good CT scan, all those things. Okay? The inspectors give them the license because they have seen those things. Then now, 1 year down the line, they have opened another branch or some other facilities. They take the X-ray that was there. They take it to another place. Dr. Luga, who was there, then is now taken to another place. Now, that is the problem we're now suffering right now, where what was documented as having been available is no longer available. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. So it's not that the inspectors were wrong. The inspectors saw. But then after, so it's basically the Kenyan culture of cheating, and this is a societal problem. I think it sometimes also, as we point fingers at the government, I think we need to point 4 fingers at the fabric of the society. I think the society, we need to have people who love the country, and I think City keep telling people just to be like Dr. Luga. You just love the country. You just want to
be patriotic.
Be patriotic, you know, because you that's what people do. So then what happens is that you have registered that you can offer maternity services. Yeah. And then, you know, in the KMPDC have given you a license that you can offer maternity services.
And this license is renewable after 1 year.
This license is renewable after 1 year. Okay. So the next time they are coming is 1 year. Okay. But 6 months later, you can't offer maternity services. But your license shows that you can offer maternity services. So the Social Health Authority actually pulls that data from the medical council. The data is pulled from the medical council, you know, because we have integrated all these systems. So when they pull the data, it shows that this hospital can offer maternity services. So they contract you to offer maternity services. Now, wananchi go there and you can't offer maternity services, or sometimes you start to cheat that you can offer maternity services. I hope you get how this thing is done. So by the time the inspectors come, SHA has raised an alarm. This guy is registered to offer maternity services, but we have received a complaint. You know, now we have a call center, 147. That is also one of the greatest invention. We receive 3,000 calls every day, by the way. So 3,000 calls every day. So if you call 147, we get all manner of complaints from the citizens. So they said, I went to this hospital. They are supposed to offer me maternity services, but they are not offering me maternity services. Then we check. We find that hospital has actually claimed that they offered you maternity services. So we send the regulator. The regulator says, no, these guys were registered to offer maternity services, but the delivery bed that they had, they have now removed it. This is Kenyans for you.
Yeah.
I hope you guys get this as plain as it is.
That's
so
criminal.
Then it's criminal. Thank you for saying that. In fact, it's good that it came from you.
It is criminal.
Yeah, it is actually criminal. Okay, but this is the day-to-day behavior of Kenyans. So the regulator downgrades you, then SHA removes you. But remember, they had paid you already for
maternity services, which you don't provide.
Okay,
which means you had claimed that you provided maternity services, and in reality you had not.
You had not.
Okay.
All right. So it is criminal. So then now we start to institute measures. So what are those measures? Recovery. Persecution. I mean, you now have to prosecute them. Okay, but that is also a process. So you have to collect this data. Once you collect this data, you have to de-gazette the facility, because Kenyans also have a constitution and a law.
Yes.
You don't wake up every day and you said, oh, City Muga, I know that you were supposed to offer maternity services. You did not. You lied. So I have to go through the process again of the regulator giving me a report, of SHA saying that I paid you for a service that you did not offer, of the patient who complained saying that I am the one who was cheated. And then I have to do that report. Then I have to follow the Social Health Insurance Act. I have to gazette it, because that is the law.
Yes.
So I have to gazette it. And then after gazetting it, I have to send the file to the DCI. You get the country the way it is. Now this is the reality. So even as you make noise on social media, you must know this reality.
Yeah. Now, from that entire process you've mentioned, from doing this and this and this, by the time it gets to DCI, before these people are either shut down or closed or summoned to court.
Yeah. No, we shut them down immediately, but we send the file to the
Also, the shutting down is immediate.
Immediately we figure it out, and we have the evidence from the regulator of the system.
Around how long does it take for that process to...
Around 3 weeks.
3 weeks, eh?
Yeah.
To get eventually the file to the DCI.
Yeah.
Okay. Health is a devolved function, but we've sat here with representatives of, the doctors' union, and they're always complaining that it is not working in their best interest. Now, I know you're not a legislator, but do you think that was a good move to actually devolve, medical services, and perhaps should we rethink how this is being done?
This question I've been asked for the last 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think,
tomorrow is Katiba Day.
I think my answer has been quite the same. So I think devolution was intended to provide closer services to the people, because and to solve some of even these kind of challenges that we are talking about, because then the notion is that the people are closer to that facility and they can account for it more, they can budget for it more. But I think devolution needs to be accompanied by discipline. I said this when I was working for NMS. NMS was a function that was Nairobi city county function.
Yes.
And then it was transferred to the national government. And I was privileged to be in charge of healthcare in the whole of Nairobi, which was a devolved function, but now transferred. And so I worked at the intersection of those two levels of government. And I think devolution needs to be accompanied by a lot of discipline. It also needs to be accompanied by public interest in terms of you do what the public requires you to do. But more importantly, I think devolution needs to be accompanied by vision. And sometimes you see now this discrepancy between the counties, because the counties that have visionary leaders are doing very well. The counties that doesn't have visionary leaders aren't doing well. And then now you create an imbalance in the country. So one of the things that is important, especially from where I sit now as the Principal Secretary, State Department, Medical Services, or Ministry of Health, there are 3 things that are key that must accompany how we engage with the county governments. One is standardization. We cannot have a country where, because of the virtue of the fact that your governor somewhere in Busia or Turkana, any county, these are just example, doesn't take health seriously, so you suffer. Standardization.
Yes.
And that's why we are doing programs that are of standardization. So if you look at our healthcare blueprint, the Taifa Care, which I'm going to unpackage just in a short while, it achieves that. It achieves the fact that any corner you are in, financing, you will be able to afford it. The equipment, we have, for example, the National Equipment Service Program, you're able to get it. The issues around medicines, you're able to get. So we are trying to look at how do we standardize that. Number 2 is health security. Health as a security.
Yeah.
So when a disease comes in through the border, whether that border is Migori border with Tanzania, or whether it is the Somalia border with Mandera, or whether it is the Turkana border or JKIA or any border,
or Busia border with Uganda.
It doesn't matter whether your governor was doing well in health or not. Okay, so these are things that the country must take care of, the national government. So first, standardization; second, health security. But more importantly is the way in which health is delivered, what we call the health technology performance, or now that's a very complex term, but generally the service package for the country, like what is the offering, what is the menu of health. A good example is on things like HIV, for example, or cancer. It is practically impossible for Nyeri County to say that because we have a high cancer burden, we are going to negotiate with the pharmaceutical to give us medicines at this cost. It's not going to happen. Because
why?
Because the numbers don't make sense for any manufacturer. I hope you get that.
Okay.
So these things only make sense at a country level. Sometimes, in fact, let me say, use the word even for HIV, for example. Even with our a population of persons living with HIV of 1.4 million, we have to still aggregate with 12 other countries for the numbers to make sense, so that then the manufacturer can tell us we are giving you this drug at 8,000 shillings.
Ah, okay.
If a county was to do that, that drug would be 100,000 shillings. I hope you get the point.
It now makes sense.
Yeah. So that is why there are some key things. And when people talk about, the Ministry of Health is retaining this amount of money, there are some things that are not possible to do. Like right now, if you were to look at individual hospitals buying their own MRIs and CT scans, and this has happened before, there are governors that have imported the CT scans and MRI.
Yes.
Ask them how much they paid for it. You find one machine, the governor paid 375 million. Now, when the Ministry of Health has aggregated all of this and said, we now have a program, all you have to do is to sign up, and you do it when you want. The ministry is not paying for it. The county is not paying for it. No one is paying for it. It's not taxpayers' money. It's fee for service. It is paid for when the patient uses it. Then now the manufacturers, the international equipment manufacturers can say, this makes sense for me, because then I can now put these machines. I am guaranteed by the national government. The patient goes in there. The service is paid for when the machine is used. And that saves the governors money. So there are some things.
Do we have such a
So
scheme?
basically, what I wanted to end up by saying, health must be a shared function, and it has always been.
The understanding and the argument you've put across makes sense. Do we have the scheme you've just mentioned? Is it operational as
It is
we speak?
operational as we speak, and I have to thank the Council of Governors. I think 10 years after devolution, and I've been in this space city. I was a union leader. You know that.
I know that very well.
We had a difficulty. When I was negotiating and for the CBS, yeah. That time the notion was like, no, we are independent and we have to negotiate with the unions by ourselves. You can't. And remember, when I was a union leader, I insisted that we have to negotiate one CBA for the whole country. And that was part of the reason why that strike then took 100 days, because guys were like, no, we can't. Let's every county deal with their own workers. You can't. Let's have a standard.
But then that's
now what is happening.
But
that appreciation is now there.
The question that Mbuvi asked then becomes pertinent. Should health have been devolved?
Yeah. Health should be devolved. So, and that's what I'm trying to talk about. So there are things that are important. For example, the operational things of how gloves are done in a hospital, or how you manage the cleaning, or how you look at who is in charge. I think that is not a function that the national government should do. Yeah, because then the accountability is to the people. I hope you understand that.
Tell me, I understand it perfectly, but the thing that you say points me to something that we always read about. It's called public participation.
Yes.
You have explained it. What you have just explained, was it understood? And has the public...
I think we have taken 10 years to understand it, but now that is the page we are on. And
all right. He's circumventing what I want to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. How clearly do we know that this thinking, which is clear, one can even understand the benefits that people, because this discussion keeps coming up.
Yeah, it does.
It always comes up. Do you have a process by which you guarantee or you ensure that these governors cascade the same information to their people? Because
yeah, we do. So there are mechanisms, what we call the structures for intergovernmental relations. So there's the summit, which is chaired by the president, and the governors are all there. And then below that, we have what we call the health sector intergovernmental forums, which were now the cabinet secretaries and the governors are there. And then even below that, we even have the thematic groups, which now involve the CECs with the PSS, and so there are all those, and there are quarterly meetings, and there are agendas. In fact, I am extremely privileged that just before I became the principal secretary, I was the director in charge of health sector coordination and intergovernmental relations. So I know that work very well, because it was my job to engage with the county governments and the CCs and to make sure that we have a shared understanding. But I have to be honest that it has taken the country so long, but I also have to be grateful that currently, and you have seen between at least the Ministry of Health and the Council of Governors, you have seen we are on the same page. That is why, for example, the National Equipment Support Program is what we call a co-shared program. So it is signed both by the CEO of Council of Governors and the PS, which is myself. So we both implement it together. If you look at the universal health coverage and even the statement we gave yesterday, it is a shared function between the Council of Governors and the Ministry of Health. If you look at the issues we are doing with the Social Health Authority, if it were not for the governors really taking this on their shoulders, the numbers that where we've reached 25.5 million Kenyans that have registered, we wouldn't have gotten there. And you've seen us doing activation and going with the governors and always insisting that the governors have to be there because they have to own the program. Without that, then the Ministry of Health just remains something that is hanging in the air. So you have to connect it on the ground. And so devolution has become such a good launch pad for delivery, because when you live there, you also leave something going on and you leave somebody accountable. Now, what we need to do is to strengthen how we agree and how we implement together. So that coordination framework needs to be strengthened because it has taken the country such a long time to appreciate that we all must rely on each other. That's what the governor can do. For example, one of the challenges that we have, let's say in blood collection, it doesn't make sense for Dr. Luga to have, to have vehicles and people to go and mobilize people in Marsabit to collect blood. The governor can do that. But it makes sense for us to have a platform that ensures that every single blood that is donated is screened and safe for the entire country, whether you're in Marsabit or you're in Mombasa. So that we have to work together with the governors. Because the governor of Mombasa investing in the screening and safety of blood will not guarantee Tana River that they will be supplying them. But it's the responsibility of the ministry to ensure that every single mother who is going to a facility, when their bleeding is a lot, that they have blood. Whether you are in Tana River, whether your governor in Tana River has invested in it or not. Now, I hope you guys get this. So there's a shared function. There's my responsibility and there's your responsibility, and we have to all agree that we are not in competition, that is complementary. And I think the thinking that has taken the country 10 years and which now we appreciate, that we are complementary, we are not competing.
Daktari, there's a scenario here that Dr. Miskela presented. I think he's the Deputy Secretary General of KPMDU, and he said that there are situations that present themselves. For instance, you could be having 10 oncologists in Mandera, and perhaps Marsabit has got none. Is it possible to just have them shared, because you find that maybe even in Mandera they do not have that much work to do as far as oncology is concerned, but in Marsabit they are suffering properly and they don't even have a single oncologist. Now people in Marsabit have got to go to Mandera to get that service they need from the oncologist. So what Dr. Miskela was saying is that there is that imbalance, and because of that devolution, because of that devolved function, you just can't transfer 5 doctors or even 3 from Mandera and take them to Marsabit. So first of all, is it something that happens?
That's something that is true. For example, one of the greatest challenges I had here in Nairobi, and I'll mention this, I had a very good what we call a cardiothoracic surgeon in Bagathi, Dr. Mwenga, and top-notch surgeon, very good, extremely skilled, but he's in Bagathi. I don't do any open heart. I was not doing any open heart surgeries in Bagathi. And I think that it comes back to what I said, the fundamental thinking of the country. You must have people who understand what they are doing and people who are patriotic about the country. So if you have a senior surgeon like that at Bagathi, but you will never have the capacity to do open heart surgery in Bagathi. So you have to have common sense. So as the one who was leading Nairobi, I just made the simple decision that, okay, I have this doctor, I am paying him a salary, I will keep paying him a salary, but this doctor is more useful to Kenyatta National Hospital. And I sent him there. And he is now in Kenyatta National Hospital. In fact, he's the head of department there. but his salary is Nairobi. You see, and I made that decision because it makes sense. Doesn't it make sense to you?
No, it makes perfect sense.
And so I think we as a country must just have common sense. Some things also don't require a lot of, signing of things. And so what we did, and I asked Kenyatta National Hospital, I have a problem with orthopedic surgery. You have a number of can you give me an orthopedic surgeon? But you keep them on your salary. So that, yes, we may not have had the framework to do these transfers. Of course it is there, but I think there's been a lot of challenges, and the challenge is also legitimate because there is also the push by health workers to be in urban centers. You must have a doctor everywhere in this country. You must have a doctor in Bute, in Wajir. You must have a doctor in Sololo, Marsabit. You must have a doctor in my own village. In fact, part of the passion that I used to have when, in this process, and I used to tell doctors that the reason why we are pushing for this is not so that you are employed. It's not that you're so special or you're so smart. No, it's because my people, the people that where I grew up in Rarieda, we have never ever had a doctor until 2017. But
2017?
And that was the time we had a first doctor.
Like a medical doctor?
A medical doctor. Of course, we had health workers, we had nurses, clinical officers. But if you, for example, want a cesarean delivery, you couldn't do it in the whole of Rarieda. So you get this point, So that is why I was extremely passionate about this thing. So every single Kenyan, irrespective of where they are, require access to a skilled, supported, motivated health worker. Now, devolution was supporting that. So even when people say, when health workers complain that, we are being hoarded, we can't move, there is some legitimate enforcement that must come with every single Kenyan having access to a doctor everywhere. But of course, we must balance it with the skill levels. And so one of the things that I'm extremely passionate about, and I am still very passionate about, and that's why I will also not just support an open and very voluntary movement mechanism, because then you will leave Mandera with no doctors, because everyone would want to say, okay, in Nairobi I have these opportunities and all that. So there is that legitimate enforcement that must be established, but it must be punctuated with some common sense and a way in which you say, in Mandera, I have 20 gynecologists. I'm not using these 20 gynecologists. So this cooperation that I'm talking about must also be among the county governments.
And that's where the problem is, because the governors never sit and agree and say, by the way.
And now, again, at the Ministry of Health, we are doing that. So, for example, one of the things we are doing, and I'll talk about the big issues, for example, the cancer center. So we have the cancer center in Garissa, we have the cancer center in Nakuru, we have the cancer center in Mombasa, we have the cancer center in Kenyatta, MTRH and Kenyatta University, 6 of them. Okay, one of the things now we are also doing and helping the county governments is trying to map out and say, okay, where is the skill? So you may find that somebody is specialized in cancer management, but that person is in Turkana, where there is no cancer center. So you ask Turkana, we think this guy is likely to be of value in Nakuru. And we are in that conversation, and it's going on very well. Just recently, there is a very specialized doctor, a nephrologist, a pediatric nephrologist. We have people who have studied pediatric, they have studied children's health, and then now they have studied nephrology. And that is one of the specialties that is rare. And this guy is in Wajir. Okay, so he is an employee of Wajir, and we have to be very grateful to Governor Abdullah. And I had this conversation with him, and I said, I think, Governor, this doctor is more useful for us. We are now going to open up the East Africa Kidney Institute. We don't have many pediatricians who have studied nephrology, so pediatric nephrologists. So we said this doctor is going to be extremely useful for us in this institute as we established, because we want to start having a children's wing, children's transplant wing. And so this and to the governor's credit, he has kept him on the payroll, because sometimes it's a bit, when you look at our laws, the Public Service Commission, and the way we structured our constitution, and those are things we still have to continue discussing. it's very difficult to just transfer and then have this payroll from this end to this end. Sometimes you have to cut it and then employ them. But before we establish those structures of employing them and then now releasing that payroll so that then Wajir can take another doctor, we can always engage and say, I have another doctor here in the Ministry of Health who can help you in Wajir, but that other doctor that you're not utilizing their skills well, let's have them come. And this is really the engagement.
What happens if another governor takes over?
Yeah, that's the challenge.
And then now he or she comes and checks and says, ati tunalipa nani na kwa wapi? Ebu muleteni hapa.
And that happens all the time.
But what about, you see?
So that's why we have to institute measures. And that's why I think a country is always a going on concern. So there's no time in the history that you will have what we call an ideal country. It's always a going concern of how we have to put laws and regulations and make it better.
In my opinion, CT, I think that perhaps we need to first of all just take medical services back to or rather health back to the central government.
That will also not, because you see,
choose some of the functions.
Some of these things, like when I just mentioned you want to open a hospital, you've done the building, you've done all of those. The sanitation report has to be done by the county. The occupation report has to be done by the county. So as we come to inspect the services, the machines that you have, the level of service, but there is some preliminary work that has to be done by you can imagine the medical council, they'll have to employ I don't know how many people to be able to do that work. I think there's complementarity
the thing
that is very important.
The thing about implementing a constitution is precisely what I am hearing, that you then realize that yes, we have this constitution, we have this way of doing business, but when you then actualize, you realize perhaps we need to have considered this, perhaps we need to have this, perhaps we need to do this. You see, the Council of Governors, I have asked a question that is being answered here. What do they discuss? Because beyond just health services, inter-county business initiatives, taking advantage
of another one.
Yes, of Mombasa has certain advantages that Wajir doesn't have. Wajir has certain advantages that Busia doesn't have. Busia has certain advantages that Kajiado doesn't have. So that this growth of the economy that we keep speaking about is actually spurred by the county governments. And if this happens, then you suddenly find that this own source revenue, which is a constant pain, suddenly becomes something, and the discussion becomes different. Now, the health services brings up this thing, because if indeed they were thinking collectively about this, what Dr. Luga is discussing here could have been a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then this matter can then now be taken to Parliament and say, folks, for this to be made possible, can we tweak, can we amend this and this and this so that this is actually possible? Because if you're a doctor in a far-flung area, forget your specialty. You'll be doing very many other things that are not necessarily your area of specialty. Even just basic medical care. The question is, when you take such a doctor, do you replace this doctor?
We do. We do replace. In fact, like for, and I've just mentioned for you, for example, like even Kerugoya Hospital, they were doing the level 5, and we gave them doctors, we gave them health workers, a specialized one. But also we replaced, like now in Wajir, where we said, okay, we've taken this doctor. We have also sent, in fact, not one, I think 3, to help them with some engage. They had this malaria challenge at some point, and we said, the ministry is going to help you do that. So we sent our own officers from the ministry to work with the governor, and then so it's quite a mutual exchange, if you ask me, and it just requires very the real sense of cooperation and coordination, in the true meaning of it, not some fake documented thing. The true meaning of I can solve that your problem and you can solve this my problem. Because the Ministry of Health, by the time you start to, let's say, advertise and get this, but there's a specialist doctor of children from Wajir. You know, and at least I have that advantage because I really understand this system. I have invested 15 years of my time understanding the context of our healthcare system. And I apply it for the benefit of the public.
There has been this discussion about a health commission.
National Health Commission.
Yes. I have never actually understood it, and since you're here, you can explain. Is it something that can be desired, and it is something that would help improve the provision of health services?
If we provided proper mechanisms of engagement between the county governments and the national government, like we have now done, then we lessen the what can I call it, the push to have institutions such as health service commission. I think we also shouldn't overburden the country and the taxpayer with a lot of institutions. But I believe, and I've been one of the proponents of it before, because of the first thing that I mentioned, standardization, how you manage health workers. You know, now we have what was inaugurated by the president, His Excellency President Ruto inaugurated, the first president who inaugurated Health Human Resources Advisory Council, HRAC, you know, the Kenya Health, which is chaired by Professor Wafula, and now is there to try and engage. Of course, institutions take time to come to life, but it's meant to do exactly what the Health Service Commission was meant to do. And I think what we need to do is to strengthen that institution, to give it teeth. It is established in the Health Act of 2017. And if it was given the necessary powers to solve this problem between the county governments, including now the challenges that we have had. But credit to Council of Governors and, of course, to our Cabinet Secretary, Aden Duale. I think that intersection between them has also helped a lot. You see, we have now solved the problems of doctors. I hope Atela and Ms. Keller have told you we don't owe them a thing. In fact, anything they now owe us. They owe us good service to citizens. The UHC, we have just sorted them out. We are now converting them to permanent and pensionable. The internship issues that have been a problem, we have sorted them. In fact, I signed the CBA. You know, the CBA that all the health workers enjoy in this country, I'm the one who signed it.
That same CBA that you used to complain about when you were in the union.
I am the one who signed it. That's why I used to complain about it, because for a long time there was no standard document you can reference on how you want to pay a worker.
There wasn't.
There was never anything before that. And this is the only document that exists up to now, since I signed it. Muga, this is why I went to jail.
Yes,
that's how important
I remember when you were a guest of the government.
And you can see why it has been useful for government. Now I am there. And right now, you can imagine if our principal secretary, and I didn't have a reference document of what to implement, so that everything you implement is guesswork. Anyone can come and challenge it. You know, everyone can say, why did you make this decision? Now no one can say, like, for example, we have just paid interns. Interns. For the first time, the CBA says that interns should be paid 1 month after reporting. For the first time, they have been paid 1 month after reporting. But no one can challenge my decision. Even when I engage with the National Treasury to ask for the money, it is documented, signed by the government.
That hadn't been done before.
It has never been done before. Okay? But you can imagine, even if our principal secretary and such a document didn't exist, it would have been impossible for us to do it.
Now, just to be clear on this particular issue, there are some things that are okay to devolve, but there are others, to be honest, they're just a pain in the behind. So, I don't know. Are we going to get a way forward? Because it's going to be a problem if it's not solved now, and it's going to balloon and become something else in the future. And what CT has asked about that health, was it a health commission? Yeah, whereby it can look at where doctors are, who needs to be where, and because I think compromising on issues to do with health, that's very bad, and that's very detrimental to actually even the general health of the country. So I don't know, perhaps at one point that might need to happen, even if not today, perhaps even a conversation can start to happen, because every time doctors sit here, or even clinical officers, that is one of the biggest problems.
I think we can manage our health workforce better. And I wanted to talk about this Taifa care.
Yes,
you know?
Actually, I was going to ask you about it.
I think we need to talk about Taifa care.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so Taifa care is the UHC model that we are implementing, and basically, so there are several models of universal health coverage. First, this is a global goal, and Kenya is also racing towards that. But more fundamentally, the president has decided that universal health coverage is one of the key drivers of economic transformation, what people call bottom-up economic transformation agenda, better. Okay? Now, one of the drivers is that people must be healthy. Okay? And so, one of the 5 drivers that he has put priority on is the healthcare. Now, in this healthcare, we have chosen a model of universal healthcare. Now, our model is output-based. Output-based means that somebody else invests in the service and we purchase that service. Okay? It's based on the performance. It's not based on the input. What we had piloted in Isiolo, Nyeri, Machakos, and Kisumu was input, where we give the system some things and we hope that those things will produce good things. We gave them medicines, we gave them money, hoping that they will treat people better, the hospitals will be better. Now we are incentivizing by saying, oh, wait a minute, you invest, give us this, and then we pay you for it. Now it's an output model. Now that output model is anchored on 4 priority levers. One of them is health financing. Now health financing is where we want to talk about the Social Health Authority. Social Health Authority, the main purpose right now is to resource mobilize domestically. Domestic resource mobilization. 2 reasons are important. One, our healthcare system, 35% is financed by donors. Now, all the donors are withdrawing. You've seen the US Stop Work Order. FCDO, the Foreign Common Development Organization, Commonwealth Development, that is the UK generally, have deprioritized health and are also moving out. GIZ moved out. Danida is winding up. So all of them are going. So 35, we have to plug the gap of 35%. That is 82 billion Kenya shillings.
Daktari, why are they leaving though?
They are leaving.
For America, we know.
No. They are leaving because of, and that's why I wanted to explain that. So they are not leaving because the country is bad or because there's a problem. They are leaving because Kenya was rebased in 2021. Rebasing means that we moved from a poor country to what we call lower middle income country in 2021. Now, this year, let me just use this. Let me explain this, okay? Yes. This year, because also we have done very well as a country in terms of our economy. We did not default on our loans. We have done very well. Kenya moved from position 8 to position 6.
Okay.
In the largest economies in Africa. So if you go with a begging bowl to a donor between Kenya and Malawi, they'll give Malawi money and not Kenya, because now you are number 6 and you are one of the economies that can take care of themselves. And it is true. We should not get mad. We should not depend on somebody else's money to take care of our services. So I think it is just good manners. Countries that have done it by themselves are way more stable. So it is okay not to get mad at somebody's money, because now you have your money, your economy has grown, you have done very well. And yes, our economy has grown. People can say whatever they want to say, but the economy has grown. We are now number 6 largest economy. And then in 2021, we were rebased as a lower middle income country. So if you go on a begging bowl between Kenya and Malawi, Malawi will be given money, Kenya will not be given money. Even DRC with all its gold and all of that, because they generally the per capita income of the people are poor. If you going to World Bank or Bill and Melinda Gates, they will give DRC money because they are looking at their maternal mortality rates and all this, but they will not give Kenya. So now we have to take care of ourselves. How do we take care of ourselves? My brother Mungala and Siti Muga and you, we are the only ones who are working. There is no other aliens who are working. So hii salary yako is where we have to take the money. That's why we have to take your 2.75%, because we have to collect money for our own healthcare system. We can argue about what we do with the money the way we are arguing right now. You can put us to task whether we are paying ghost facilities. You can help us identify those ghost facilities. But there is nowhere we are going. We have to get our own money. If you run a business, we have to get the money from you. Okay, that is why we also have to get 2.75% of the income. Domestic resource mobilization. Hiyo ndio kazi ya Social Health Authority. We want to make sure that we are stable as a country as far as financing is concerned. But two other things are important. Number one, that is important. You and I, because we work, our relatives who are poor at home may know us. They may know us, and when they are sick, they may call us for an arambe. They may say, Doc, like right now when I was coming, one of my relatives just called me. I need a prescription for cardiology medicines. Tafadhali nisaidie na 4,000. Okay? Now, there is somebody else who doesn't have a Dr. Luga or a Mungala or a City Munga. They don't even have a teacher in their village. They don't even know anyone they can ever call to give them an harambe. Now, our harambe as a country is the Social Health Authority.
And that is what is helping them.
That is the entire harambe of the whole country. So, because even when we say, we can fundraise, we blah, 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 blah. There's something called equity. Equity means we are all at the same level. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, whether you are old, whether you are young, whether you are sick, whether you are healthy. Equity. Now, our harambe for equity is the Social Health Authority, where we're saying, let us put our money in one basket. So that even if you are poor, even if you don't know Dr. Luga, even if you don't listen to Radio Generation, even if you don't have anyone who can tweet for you, even if you don't have anyone who can complain, you don't know an MCA who will make noise, because even people who go to MCAs are people who can access them. And I've done this work in Nairobi, so I know very well. When I did the NMS, and we were doing the social work in the count, when we were doing the cash transfers, cash transfers that we were doing, the people who used to come and complain are the people who don't need it. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I'm understanding.
They're the people who don't need it. The grandmothers at home who really need the support, who can't even leave, the children with epilepsy, who they don't have a medicine. They don't have any harambe. The harambe is the Social Health Authority. And that is why we have to take your money.
Yes.
We have to take your money from the business. We have to go to the means testing. And this is the understanding we would beg the country to have, that we have to pay the Social Health Authority so that we have our own pot of money. And I was just on the first pillar by there, but the others are not as. This is the most important one.
I want us to take a short break. We get into the news. Then when we come back, we continue talking about that pillar and the others as well. But I like the fact that you're saying that harambe 2.7 yetu ichukuliwe. And I have questions about that. So don't shikilia tu hapo, siende mbali. We'll be right back. Dr. Ouma Oluga, the Principal Secretary, State Department of Medical Services, is in the studio. And it's the conversation is around advancing Kenya's health system. David Chumo, I'm seeing your questions, and like I promised you, when we come back, those questions will definitely be answered.
It's 8:01.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. 4 more bodies have been exhumed from shallow graves in Kwabinzaro village in Kilifi County, raising the confirmed death toll in the latest suspected cult-related incident to 13. Authorities also recovered 8 additional body parts during Monday's operation, bringing the total remains collected to 18. Post Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha, who's leading the exercise, says 11 suspects have so far been arrested in connection with the incident. Security agencies continue the search and recovery mission even as investigations intensify into what is feared to be a continuation of cult-related activities in the region.
We've arrested the main culprit, the lady who was operating here, and also for 10 other suspects. So we have a total of 11 people who are with us. Investigations are going on. And also, we really want to investigate and establish who sold this land to her, because this is Chakama Ranch.
The United States Embassy in Nairobi has confirmed the appointment of Susan Barnes as the new charge d'affaires. Following the appointment, Barnes will take over the role of the top U.S. diplomat in the country, making her the highest-ranking American official in Kenya. Barnes also confirmed her appointment in a statement on Monday, August 25th, expressing optimism about potentially further strengthening the relationship between Kenya and the U.S. She has previously served as the principal officer in the Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam from 2022 to 2025. The striking lecturers of Moi University in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, have rejected an offer by the university's council, terming it too little. The Dons have vowed to continue with the industrial action. Addressing the press on Monday, the university's academic staff union Eldoret branch Secretary General Busolo Wekesa said they have been negotiating with employers since Thursday last week, but their members have rejected the offer until all of their demands are met.
Mimi ndiye katibu wa chama cha wahadhiri wa chuo wa vio chapter ya Moi, na vile mmesikia saa hizi tuliitisha mgomo wa wahadhiri kuanzia tarehe 20. Tulikuwa hapa kwa miezi 3 sasa. Wafanyikazi wa Moi University hawana medical scheme. Kwa karibu miezi 3 Moi University hailipi mshahara.
Police in Kayole are investigating a shocking case in which over 50 sheep suspected to have been stolen were found slaughtered in Kangurue area. Another 40 were rescued alive and moved to Kayole police station pending identification by their rightful owners. Njiro Sub-County Police Commander John Owoth confirmed the incident and appealed to Kenyans who may have lost sheep to report to the station for verification.
Na mbuzi liko natafutwa, lakini hiyo mbuzi tumepata ishachinjwa hadi kichwa iko kando. Na hiyo ilikuwa yangu. Bila nini kiaza taka tunirudishwe mbuzi yangu.
Na hizi si wa kuambia saa hii wameiba nyingi. Hata zangu mimi zimekuliwa zaidi ya mbuzi 15. Na sasa vile tuko hivi hatujui kwenye zilikuwa zimetolewa.
The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday condemned the latest Israeli attacks on Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza Strip. According to his spokesperson, Stefan Dujarric, the UN boss said those killed, in addition to civilians, included medical personnel and journalists. Guterres reiterated the protection of civilians, including medical personnel and journalists, and called for prompt and impartial investigations into the killings. Here's Dujarric speaking on behalf of the UN boss.
You know, it is a reminder. I mean, I think when it comes to journalists, there was a Security Council resolution, right? 2222 that was passed by the Security Council of this organization, calling for the protection of journalists, calling on journalists to be allowed to do their work, calling on media facilities to be treated as civilian infrastructures, and for journalists to be protected as civilians. It is important that this resolution be respected.
And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. My name is Bungala Mbuvi. In studio, I'm with CT and I'm with the PS State Department for Medical Services. That is Dr. Oma Oluga. Thank you, Dr. for sticking around. Nasikia unakimbia mahali, lakini tutakushikilia kidogo. And I'm sure wenye wanakungoja wanakusikia saizi. You explained to us something about Taifa Care and this whole universal health, yes, coverage. And you mentioned the first pillar. And some of those things that you've mentioned there are actually very good. The fact that, we need to take care of ourselves, and we need also to take care of the people that we care about.
Yes.
People are complaining a lot, and they're saying that, wamefinyika. But again, we know no pain, no gain. Yeah, so kindly continue from where you are.
Yes, and we understand. We understand there's a bit of a pain. Let me give a very short example. In the 1990s, there was a prime minister in Ethiopia called Mills Zenawi, and Mills that time invested in a 5,000 megawatt electricity hydroelectric the power generation plant energy.
Yes, okay? It was a dam.
The noise was on the roof.
Yes,
and I think Ethiopians that time were forced to buy bolts and because of course they were doing it by themselves. All the East African countries, including Kenya, is buying power from
Ethiopia.
Okay. There are times that a country has to make difficult decisions, and sometimes it's very difficult. If you look at now what we are going through, when IFMIS was first rolled out in 2012, 2013, the noise was on the roof. When e-Citizen first came to being in 2015, 2016, the noise was on the roof. But even the convenience of every citizen right now renewing their driving licenses on e-Citizen right now, you can imagine it. Okay, so we are in this establishment of Taifa Care, which has 4 pillars: the Social Health Authority, the Domestic Resource Mobilization on Health Financing. Number 2 is the health workforce, and I've just mentioned for you why we take our health workforce very seriously, because we want them to take the patients very seriously. Because even with all the money, if we don't take care of the health workforce, then there's nothing to pay for. The surgeon must do the surgery well. And there must be 2 things. There must be a good experience of the patient, and there must be a good outcome. Like the patient must feel like they're being treated with dignity and compassion. And the reason why, and I'm extremely grateful to President Ruto for giving me this opportunity, because I'm extremely passionate usually about healthcare. And the reason why we want to tell health workers that, please, we are doing all of these things. The reason why I go to National Treasury to beg the National Treasury that our universal health coverage workers now need to be on permanent pension, and it's a literal begging. It's not as easy. It's a literal begging the national, because you have to convince them why this is more important than something else. We don't have a lot of resources. They are the same ones who have to give money to education. They're the same ones who have to give money. It's the same pot. So I have to go there and literally cry and tell them that, please, you have to give these workers money. And sometimes they think it's because they are on the gates. No, it's not because they are on the gates. And I want to disabuse this notion. And I know it for a fact because I have the moral authority to talk about it, because I was in the union. And I have been very passionate about it. My elder sister, for example, passed on because of maternal mortality. And we left a young boy who now is old. When I was in Form 2, I didn't even go for the funeral. So these things are, I feel like there's something that always has to be done. And so when I talk about a doctor being in Rarieda, I know what I'm talking about because I've experienced it firsthand. And so even our health workers, this is the passion we want them to have, that we will take care of you. At least for now, we will make sure we drive all of these things, but we want you to do the same for all our patients. For the person who has no voice, for that person who can't complain, for that mother, who just has a child who has to, and that's it. And that's our second pillar. And we are making sure the internship issues are sorted. We are making sure UHC is sorted, the doctors are sorted, the nurses are sorted. And of course, it's an ongoing conversation. It can't be a cup of tea today. It has to be processes. There are some that already we have the internship policy, we have the CBA. There are some that it has to be still a conversation. We have to look at what we call scope of practice, which we are now doing. But they must also give quality to our patients. They must treat them well. The third one is that every single patient who goes to a hospital must have medicines. They must have medicines. Every single patient must have medicines. So that's why we are doing the KEMSA reforms. That's why we are doing Kenya Biovax Institute, where we are now trying to look at local manufacturing of our vaccines, because also Gavi has told us 2030 you are transitioning. Because also now they are saying, you guys, economy yenyu, we have other countries that are poorer that we have to support. Money is also dwindling. you guys, you must take care of them yourselves. So they have given us up to 2029. So now up to 2029, we have to figure out, where are we going to get the pentavalent? You know that before we came, the last 1 year, we have had a big problem with vaccines. I think, you know, Kenyans forget fast. But just 3 months ago, there was a lot of noise about lack of vaccines. The first thing we did, the first day on the 17th, the first day I did when I left State House was to go sign something to pay UNICEF 1 billion shillings to give us vaccines. But you know, this money is the same money that you can use for doctors. So it's not, it's a very difficult. I hope, I don't know whether I'm making sense.
What happens with many of these things?
You have to
It
balance.
is a communication issue a lot of the times, because if the parent ministry or the relevant ministry does not make that information public, we don't know. And when there's a gap, we'll fill it in with our own guesses. We'll fill it in with whatever it is we think we
misinformation,
malformation. It will be filled. It is something that has to be stated time and time again. The government tends to fail to communicate these things, so people don't know. If they know, they will respond differently.
So that's the third thing, is that commodities that we get medicines in hospital, so that hii maneno ya hakuna dawa hospitali, we change it. So we have moved from 44% availability of medicines, now we are at 61%. We are not there. So you will if you get prescriptions, you will only get 60% of the things you want in our public facilities, but we are getting there. We want by December, we are at 100%, and we will get there. So we are doing a number of things to make sure we are there. So from 44% actually, now we are 62%. It's a good improvement.
It
18%.
is an improvement, yes.
Yeah, you know, and so we are slowly working with the Council of Governors together. And then the last one, the digitization. Now, digitization is supposed to help us unify the healthcare system, so that whether you went for care in Nairobi Hospital or you went to Mandera, the reason why we are catching people right now, the reason why we have a system that you can go and see how much somebody was paid, the reason why you can complain as a member of the public is because we have digitized the healthcare system. We can now tell you how much somebody was paid. You can also know that this was fraud. You know, it's in the public domain, and anybody can access it. It's transparency, but we are unifying the healthcare system. Now, these things are going to help us improve, because people will make noise. We are going to take action. We will punish the hospitals. Eventually, we get to an equilibrium where everyone does the correct thing. Okay? Where you know very well that Nairobi Hospital was paid 20,000 shillings because they treated my wound. And then you start asking, does treatment of a wound cost 20,000 shillings?
Movie.
Yeah.
Those questions that were asked, they should not leave before.
Oh, yeah. So we have David Chumo here. Here it is. He has written in 3 parts, so I'm going to read all of them. Politely, kindly ask Dr. Oluga why level 2 hospitals are not paid for the deliveries they perform. They are losing money by not being compensated for the services they offer. 3 months now, KMPDC. Kindly remember to ask Dr. Oluga the above. Numerous requests to have KMPDC re-inspect hospitals are being ignored. Okay. Did you understand the first one?
Yeah, the issue about level 2s and maternity. So yes, you know, maternity was given as it was based on beds.
Okay.
But now level 2 and 3, I think the way we configured them in the system is that they were outpatient. So yes, that is a challenge that we are dealing with. There is what we call access rules that is being worked on to allow now level 2, because we've realized there are some deliveries that happen in level 2, but there are not many, and we don't want to open this again to a fraudulent thing. So there are not many. You will find that level 2 will have like 2 deliveries in a month, or sometimes 1 in 1 month. So we will have those exceptions.
Yes.
But those exceptions, we have to put a tight rule. Otherwise, again, it will be another porous where people are just saying that they did a delivery and they did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we also have let him verify no more deliveries by comparing them with monthly reports submitted to DHIS.
Yes. Yeah, the DHIS is now we call it the Kenya Health Information System.
Okay.
It used to be called District Health Information System. That's the person. That's what they call the DHIS.
Okay.
But we no longer have districts, young man. So we have Kenya Health Information System. But that's a good suggestion. So we have now integrated all that data. Now there are, and I have to mention this. Right now, if you prescribe any medicine in this country, we have what is called a drug catalog. That drug catalog is part of the digitized system. We have what we call a health worker registry. If you are a doctor or a nurse or a clinical officer or a laboratory, as long as you are registered and licensed, we have your data. So you cannot prescribe if you are not registered and licensed. You can't. Okay. And the same with hospitals. So we have all the reason why people are saying all this because we have what we call the health registry, and we have coded them as per the region, your location, what we call the geofencing or geocoding. So we have all those data. So it's all going to the digital health superhighway. And of course, this is work in progress, which we are also taking the feedback very seriously. But it has helped us a lot because you cannot prescribe a drug without. And we are getting that aggregated data on the Kenya Health Information System. We have the shared registries, and we are using all of this information for policy and for resource prioritization.
We also have Soldier Boy saying, Dr. Luga, remember someone has to put on gloves. The floor was cleaned. An answer, doctor needs to be paid. Insurance is a scam everywhere. Then we have Mohammed Murunga.
That guy is very right. And what he's saying, and let me just amplify his message. Global insurance fraud is around 15%. In the countries where they have done very well, like the Netherlands, it's still around 3% global insurance fraud. And it's as simple as what I mentioned, that Panadol costs 100 bob, but the hospital bills 500 shillings for it. So it's as simple as that. And these are things that we have to deal with. And we personally, I'm extremely grateful for some of the noises that are coming. But it's us who have enabled you to make that noise, because we want you to make that noise, so that then when we take the action of closing the facilities, previously we did that, and you saw the hospitals are talking about. And by the way, allow me to say this,
please do.
Of all the complaints that have come, we've had the Kenya Health Federation, we've had the rural private health facilities RUFA talking about the press conference. Up to now, there is not a single hospital that has written to the Social Health Authority complaining that you have breached my contract. Not a single. So the associations are out there, but there is not a single hospital that has written to the Social Health Authority that, hey, you guys, I have a contract with you. You have breached this contract. You are not doing good by me. Now, the second thing I wanted to mention is that the law, the Social Health Insurance Act, number 16 of 2023, says that a claim is only overdue when it is more than 3 months. All the claims that they talk about, and yesterday we gave good figures, primary healthcare fund, which is a taxpayers' money given by Parliament to the ministry, out of 9 billion that we have that have been claimed, we have paid 7.7 billion, and the other one we are paying the 1.3. We are paying this month.
The chronic,
actually this week. Now the chronic is 8 billion. The ECF, we call it chronic emergency chronic critical illness fund. We have 8 billion there that we have already been paying for cancer. That's where the cancer, we already been paying for ICU, 28,000 per bed per day. We have already been paying for ambulances and emergency, and we are now rolling out an ambulance service in October. That announcement will come. That is also a tax fund, 8 billion from Parliament. And then there's the Social Health Insurance Fund where you contribute. This is the one in the hospital. But what I wanted to mention is that a claim is only overdue when it is more than 90 days old, and this we have to debunk it. So when and I'll tell you what I tell all my colleague doctors. When you are professional, when you are a doctor like Dr. Luga, who is well trained, you can't come to the public with innuendo. You have to come with facts. So facts is that within 3 months, 90 days, the claim you cannot claim that I have given you this. You are giving us things of July or things of August.
Your payment has not been breached.
It's not been breached. It is still within 90 days. Okay? And we've paid for it. So, for example, out of the Social Health Insurance Fund, out of 80, I'll get my figures, H2, we've paid 53 billion. out of ECF, we've paid them. And we've even said what we have rejected. And they know what has been rejected. By the way, it's so transparent. The facilities now have another portal. Now in the portal, it's not kama sio hii ya public yenye watu wanapiga kelele. Kuna facilities now have another portal. They know very well, including Kenyatta National Hospital. And let me also just address another concern of this challenge of, why is smaller facilities getting more money than Kenyatta National Hospital and all of that. Now, two things have happened. This digital system has equalized people. Now, you find, and this is now work on my side, and I have to take the responsibility and the blame. Okay? Because now, public facilities, they have been kinda lazy before. Now, this system requires, number one, that you start the patient journey when the patient comes. It means if Dr. Luga is a patient, when I get into the facility, you have to enter my details at that point. You have to notify SHA at that point. You have to start treating me at that point. The way you are doing it, you have to put it in the system. Now, public facilities have been a bit lazy. The laziness is that, I'll treat you, but I'll enter the data later. Now, when I treat you and enter the data later, it does not work. So you find that the facility cannot be paid because the system has equalized. Okay? Now, those are the problems Kenyatta National Hospital and our public hospitals are facing. So they are treating more people, but you find that they are not adhering to what should be done within the system. So, like, for example, a surgeon does very complex surgery, but does not write notes. But the system requires that you upload the notes. So a small facility somewhere will upload the notes. They will be very disciplined because somebody has invested their money in the private sector. So they'll be very disciplined. They'll do the surgery, they'll upload notes. Kenyatta National Hospital, either because the doctor or somebody does not care, they think, this is a public hospital, I'll write the notes tomorrow. They don't upload the notes. So when it comes to payment of the claim will not be paid. So Kenyatta will get less money than
the private one
because it's equal. But now my work right now, and we are now instituting hospital reforms, is to do clinical documentation improvement. Now, clinical documentation improvement that you are doing across all my hospitals now is going to bring them at par. Now, Kenyatta, because right now they are owed a lot of money, but they are owed a lot of money which they can go to the system. We went there with the cabinet secretary when they complained to us. We put a screen, called the chief finance officer, the revenue officer, the CEO, the doctors. We said, okay, now open that claim. You are saying you have not been paid. Just open one of them. Why have you not been paid? Diagnosis not put. Okay? This is a real thing that happened in Kenyatta. Yeah. Okay? We went to Nakuru PGH. Them, they are doing very well in terms of documentation. So these are real things. And so that is also part of the reform. So the healthcare system is being overhauled. Now, the overhaul must also happen in our minds.
Now, a message to those who have not registered for SHA, those who are still skeptical about it.
You are shooting yourself in the foot, my friend. Everything in this country or in your life is very important. It's very important until you get sick. Now, the day you get sick, you realize your health is the most important thing that you should have ever thought about.
There's Mohammed Murunga saying, brilliant young technocrat, the kind of brains we need in leadership. I don't know, after umemaliza public service, unataka kwenda level ingine ya public service?
Sasa nyinyi wananchi, I've been very lucky in my life.
Yes.
That I just work. And I mentioned that we just need people who love the country. And I tend to love my country just a bit more. Yeah, yeah, and so I'm not really worried about that. Right now, I think is to make our health, and I'm very passionate about healthcare.
Okay.
So I want to try and do my work in making it work.
And you're doing a very good job at it. Thank you so much for gracing us here today.
Thank you so much.
That was karibu sana. Now tunakuita tena na tena. And by the way, what City was saying, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation and malinformation out here. Some of these services we're receiving from the government zinafanya kazi vizuri sana, but we don't get to hear the good stories. We only get to hear of the horror stories.
Yeah.
So I don't know mtafanya nini hapo.
I think just
either mutulipe tuongee.
Yeah, maybe. But I think just platforms like yours and you calling us, and I really appreciate this opportunity to speak.
No, we thank you for honoring the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That is Dr. Omo Luga, Principal Secretary, State Department for Medical Services. We're taking a short break here. Kidogo kidogo tu. Then when we do return, of course, the conversation continues, because remember, we are here up until 10 in the AM. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. Radio Generation.
To the beat of the rhythm of the night, dance until the morning. Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation.
Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.
Mainly in number of counties: Mandera County, Homa Bay County, Kisii County, Wajir County, Nairobi County, among many other, Bungoma County, Kisumu County. If you check my previous press statement, you'll find. So what the Kenyans, the social media are telling us, you are telling us information that already we have. But we want genuine Kenyans who come to us every day, who report to us every day, who have become our whistleblower, and what they tell us is exactly what our system, our forensic auditors have picked. So, good people, me and the men and women who work with me here, we have one serious obligation. We will fight fraud, and we will provide free, affordable, accessible health care. And I'm very happy to report that 9 billion shilling has been paid for primary health care. 7.7 has been paid, and 1.3 will be paid. We are just waiting for the National Treasury to release the money to the PS for him to release too. We are doing very well with the public servants medical insurance scheme, and I know there are some facilities who service our public servants who have not been paid. I want to assure them that between us,
the facilities you found circulating on social media are facilities that majority of them were closed in May. Some were suspended, some were down.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. In the beginning, there was morning radio.
I've never seen anything like this.
But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey.
You got it locked.
Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Welcome back. This is Radio Generation. It is now 28 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm with Siti Muga here, and I'm telling him I'm hungry, and then he just laughs at me.
Yes, I do.
Siti, as my father figure in this studio, unafaa kuniambia kijana unataka pesa ngapi? Alafu unatuma kwa simu, mimi naenda naitisha chakula, inakuja, mimi nakuisa kula.
Unajua sisi hii mambo ya kutumia pesa. Si uniulize tu nikupatie pesa tu. Hiyo hadithi nyingi unazunguka ukaenda hapa na pale.
So utanibuy a lunch leo?
I'll buy you lunch.
Sawa. And guys, I'll confirm. I'll even show you if he sends M-Pesa, I'll show you. If he gives me cash,
I'll give you cash.
You'll give me cash?
Yes.
There. Shasema. There's Wafula team here on YouTube. He says, could you invite the CEO or any other person from Kenyatta National Hospital to verify this information? From Dr. Oluga. Yes, Wafula. We actually send out invites every single day. We have a very able producer. She goes by the name of Edna. Now, Edna works around the clock to ensure that we have all these amazing guests that you hear and you see on our station. So yes, we have reached out actually to the CEO of Kenyatta National Hospital. If they accept our invite, definitely utawaona hapa hivi. So thank you. And you can also keep on suggesting some of these individuals that you want us to host. Just to pick up from what we had asked Daktari about, the information that comes from Gava. And I keep on telling, actually I told Gabriel Muthuma when he's here last, and I told him, can you ensure that you guys talk to us as often as possible? Remember what Dr. Alfred Mutua used to do back in the day? Before he became governor of Machakos.
Right, before he became governor of Machakos.
Before he became governor of Machakos. They used to have this frequent, what are they called? Updates. I think it was every Thursday. Asubuhi, and he would talk to us and tell us, and sometimes we would find some of that information irrelevant, because I'm like, why do I need to know about something happening in Marsabit?
But the information was there.
But it was there. At the end of the day, it is important to someone in Marsabit, and I think the government needs to get back to that.
Actually, the yardstick that I look at is Mutahi Kagwe's during the COVID period.
Yes.
Every single day.
Yes.
Every single day. That's one. The second one, remember when the central bank was changing the
notes.
Fiduciary walikuwa wanaibadilisha. My friend, the communication around it was fascinating. They start by telling you, you have X number of days in which to change this. And they kept updating you daily.
And where you can get the check.
Oh, yes.
Take it to your bank.
It was on TV, it was on radio, it was on vernacular. My friend, until 5 days to go, till the last day, you could not say they did not tell you. Now, that's government being efficient, which means they can do it. So when they don't, you have to ask, why are they not giving us the information on the things that are important as they should?
Right.
Why? Why do we need to wait for an interview for us to understand that this is what is happening? And this is something they could actually ensure that we know it in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think sometimes they just do they just like forget to tell us? They just and you see when you challenge them, they always tell you, move, you're not doing your research. And I'm like, but
every ministry has a communication department. Okay? What they do there, they alone know what they do.
Yeah,
because this is part of their job. They think that when you send a communique and say, this is a notice, publish it, that is not communication. No. In an African sense, you need to talk to people and they need to hear you saying it.
Yeah.
How many people do you think read the papers?
Not many.
Precisely. Now, if you say you go digital, again, how many people do you think have an interest in reading what the government has to say? When you tell them, there are more people listening. And what is spoken of can then be written about. But at least you will ignite a discussion around it when you talk about it.
Yeah.
And if you talk about it regularly, people then know that on such and such an occasion, the course of the week, we will be told this, and we will have the information. We can then formulate the questions we have to ask.
Yeah.
Those who are in charge of communication within the government, whether it is county government or within national government, they do not do a very good job.
I feel like that communication should be centralized. Fine, yes, there's information from the Ministry of Sports, Transport, whatever, even Interior. I'm sure we can get information probably from, because they also have press releases, if you go to their websites. However,
how many people visit those websites? This is what I'm trying to tell you.
That's what I'm trying
to tell you. Look, don't tell us about what you have on your website.
Yes.
That you might as well be talking to yourself. Find out how people like to receive their information and then use that channel to push that information across. Don't decide in your head, because this issue of website, press, these things, this is the ancient way of doing things. We are in the information age. Please understand how people like to consume the information.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's on what? Social media, mainstream media, legacy media.
When you subscribe to some of these things, like I get notification from DCI.
Because you follow them on social media?
I do.
Okay.
So they tell me. Okay. Now, if you don't follow them, you will not know. But you can see that is an attempt. And they give updates. There's a lot that they tell you if you just bother to read it. Now, does the Ministry of Health do that? I'm simply trying to say that there are very many ways of communicating, that when we challenge, they can say, but we did this, we've done this, we've done this. So now the onus is on the citizenry to consume the information in a way that it has been presented. But if you just keep quiet and say, we go website, okay. Keep wishing.
Yeah.
Keep wishing and count the number of people who go to that website of yours.
And you'll ask them and they'll be like, but move, it's there. You've not bothered to check the website. You've not bothered to. But why should I bother? You tell me, I'm paying you to actually let me know these things.
There's the whole idea of communication.
Yeah.
And how it is people want to consume information is something that hasn't actually sunk. When there's an attempt to communicate, those who communicated within government feel they've communicated, it's enough. If you didn't get the information, shauri yako.
Kauko.
We communicated.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that doesn't communicate very well, because the gap is why you have all these crazy things people keep saying.
There's a time I was in Boston, and in the hotel I was staying in.
Boston is Mugani ya Kitui County?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, kule.
In the United States of Murica. So when I was in America, I was in Boston rather, and I remember in the hotel, it was actually a motel that I was staying in. There was a specific news channel, and it was for the I think now when I think about it, I think it was for the county government of that particular area. And what they were doing, it was just a specific news channel that was churning out information about Boston and what the government is doing in Boston. So any roads, any meetings in the county halls that the governors are holding there and other local leaders are holding there, any information about water and sanitation, any information about security was on that channel, and it was being played on a news cycle literally every hour. So if you're a resident of Boston at the time, you could tune into that channel and you would know what your government is doing in the last couple of hours going forward, perhaps what will affect you in the next couple of days or even months. So I don't know, perhaps should we adopt something of the sort here in Kenya? Like have a specific channel, and not KBC. KBC is entertainment and news, but even have another separate channel, and I'm sure the government can do it. Have a separate channel where they broadcast in both English and Swahili, and literally let us know what is happening in the country, government services, what is failing, what is not working, what is working, and so on and so forth. I think that for me would be something actually very amazing. Even if they have to put it on YouTube, wayeke.
For that to happen, you would need,
yes,
whether it's a county government, national government, that does not have a problem in being held to account.
Shida pa ni kukuwa held to account.
Kutaka kujibu maswali mingi. Because if you're willing to be asked questions, then you will publicly say things because there will be a response to it. But when the attitude of government, whether it's national or county, is still that the government doesn't tell the public everything. There are things you tell them, you choose, other things you don't need to tell them. Unfortunately, you will be contradicting the Constitution. Anything that involves the lives of the citizenry, they must know. That's why it's called public participation.
And now, see, now that's where that channel would come in handy. So that I might not necessarily be all over social media following DCI, for example. I might not be all over social media following up the Ministry of Health handle. But at one point I can decide on a Sunday, maybe when I'm chilling, I can be like, okay, I need to know what is happening in Kenya. And I'm not saying they put a channel for every county, like specifically for Kenya.
It would make sense, Mbuvi, it would make sense. But even more so, We have vernacular radio stations almost everywhere in the country right now.
Yes.
Okay. People tune in. When you put, we're talking about county governments, when you put a message across regularly, so that people know that when you tune in to this regularly, at this time, this government is giving us information, people cannot say they do not know.
Yeah.
Because they will have listened to it. And when they listen, it's in their language. When they discuss it, they'll be discussing it again in their language. You know, this is what they said. This is what they said. There are people whose area of expertise is communication. Many of them are employed because of that. But one doesn't see the manifestation of that training in the way we get information from either the county governments or the national government. And yet they're trained, which means they know how to put across messages. They understand what you need to do in order to get people to understand the government's thinking, the government's actions. If there's something new, like this issue of Taifa Care,
yes,
this thing should have saturated the airwaves. For those who like reading, it should have saturated social media so that you make it something people are discussing. Now, once it is discussed, whether they like it or not, that actually is public participation. Yes, people are talking about it. So when there is an announcement that the government, this is what they're doing, you are talking to a public that has an idea of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. But when it's fresh, question is, what is this? How is it going to differ? Oh, it's another, the immediate thinking, the government wants more money from us.
Yeah.
The government wants to take money which they're not going to be accountable for. Now, you see, you then enable the conversations that in and of themselves are negative to flourish. Yes.
Okay. All right. But I think that would actually, or even a website. For instance, let me just
do the website, eh?
What?
The website.
See, for us tech savvy folks.
Where in the letter website?
I want to search real quick if we have a
website,
a government spokesperson, Kenya. Let me see if they have a website.
They do.
Aki, if they don't,
They do.
This will be very bad.
They do.
All right, let me see. I can't find it. The website is president.go.ke.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just open this website and see what is there. Because I'd like to see, do they give me like proper information? So there's actually a lot of information here. Government making deliberate investments to create jobs. We are committed to expanding opportunities. Yes. President Ruto launches NESP, what Dr. actually was just talking about right now, to modernize hospital equipment. Okay. There's lots of information here. But
who reads it?
Yes, it's a good question. But let me give it to them. They actually do have a website. And you look at the tabs, we have administration, then we have a tab for First Lady, we have news updates, we have for media, and then we have for the people who love tenderpreneurship.
Of what use is that information if nobody's reading it?
Yeah. But at least it's there.
No. That is the attitude that guarantees that information doesn't cascade to those who need to hear it. It's not a question of it being there. It needs to be where that person would like to have it.
Yes.
The whole point of communication is not that you talk. It's that you talk in a way that you can be understood.
Yes.
And then you get a response. That now is communication.
Yes.
If it isn't two-way, it is not communication.
Let me open this tab for administration. This tab doesn't open. So there's when you open it, it's Office of the President, Office of the Deputy President, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Ministries, and then the Cabinet. Okay. All right. Good stuff. So in case you don't know how many ministries we have, ukifungua hapo utaziona tuko nazo nyingi. But listen, this is what I'm thinking. Yeah, so that we can close this conversation about government and spokespersons. I honestly feel like we should have a combination of what you've said. So we have like a multifaceted approach where we have the website, we've established it's there, where we have social media. We know they have their social media handles, and even the ministries have got their own social media handles, but also now targeted communication where the people are mostly. I feel like that is not sufficient.
Let me tell you, if you look at the archives of our ministries and you look at the archives of our government institutions, specifically those who conduct research, 90% of the research that is done, 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 90 there's research that has been done as to what it is that people like in terms of portals, in terms of sites where they would like to get their information. There's research that has been conducted on what it is that which platforms influence people the most.
Okay.
It is available. When I worked in the field of biomedical research, specifically in the field of HIV and AIDS, this is something we had to do to understand, because researchers have this tendency of thinking that because they know and they know this thing is good, of necessity those to whom you're working with as participants will also know what you know, and because you've told them. No, it doesn't work that way. We found that if you wanted a message to be communicated in a community effectively, there are what you call thought leaders in a community. There are opinion leaders and opinion shapers in a community. There are religious leaders. That same message, if somebody hears it in church, they'll take it far more seriously than in a baraza, or when you have a show on market day and people can hear you and you're playing music and so forth. If there's somebody who is considered, he is the person who repairs shoes in that village, but people congregate there to talk to him, if he talks about that subject, they will listen a lot more keenly and there'll be a debate. So the understanding of how information should be cascaded also has to involve the people from whom the information will be readily and easily accepted. The knee-jerk reaction to government issues is people tend to be skeptical. So you need to find avenues where that same information can be packaged in a consumable form. And that requires the person who is passing on that information and how that information is passed across. When it's critical information, with reference to something like healthcare, the narrative that has held sway for the longest time is this thing doesn't work. So even people who've never interacted with it, if you ask them, they'll tell you it doesn't work, because that's what they hear. That's the common fodder. Now, once you have understood that narratives are created when there is a vacuum, especially the negative ones, then you fill that vacuum with information that can then counter any false narrative that people have, because when you state it, somebody will want to find out if what you're saying is actually true. Our problem is sometimes when you find it is true, you keep quiet because now it is true. But it is not spoken of, and it is not said that this is actually true. What is, pervasive is the negative information that this thing is not what you think it is. Now, that one, the blame falls squarely on the information bearer and the responsibility bearer, that's the government, because if you have not bothered and to go through the pains of understanding this little thing, or the people you've employed are not doing it, please hold them to account. But if we have the attitude that in Gava, once Gava has spoken, it has that, no, it has not. All these things were that way before we had this new constitution has turned everything up topsy-turvy. Yes, and the citizen has understood something fundamental called right. They know. And that is the reason why our courts are as vibrant and as active as they are. And that's why we find that when you come to people having a say on the things that affect them, more and more and more voices keep coming up, because people now know. And that has to be met with a similar amount of knowledge and a bother. And so long as it isn't met, the negative communication will hold sway. Yes.
Because I don't feel like the institutions charged with giving us information, whether it's within the ministries or departments, I don't feel like they're doing sufficient work.
Once you post it on that website, then they're done. Unless you do what we do, where we look for that information because we want to know it. Who else do you think is going to bother looking at that website?
And you see, you and I have to go look for it because that's our job.
We need to be informed.
Yes. And we also have a level of responsibility to also inform the listener.
And we will inform.
Yes. But now, the listener also we're not reaching every single one. We're not reaching all 50 million Kenyans.
No, we are not.
Yes. So my question again comes to, is the way companies do marketing.
My friend.
The way iPhone, for example, will do marketing, or Samsung or whoever, they have lots of money put out there. They put billboards, they do and they also have something called influencers. I feel like it's high time government has proper influencers. Si wale bloggers wanakujanga kutukana na sisi online, because that is that is not influencing. That is just insulting the citizenry. I feel like we should have like a proper poster boy or poster girl for SHA, for example. Yeah. Now, you've correctly mentioned that there's someone who's saying SHA doesn't work, whether they have registered for it or not.
They know it doesn't work because it has been said by somebody they know, so they know it doesn't work.
And they will amplify it to someone else.
Yes.
And that someone else will amplify it to 50 million other Kenyans who will not take up SHA.
Yes.
So we need to have like a poster boy or a poster girl who and it's not the PS. It's not Masi Mwangangi, the whatever, the CEO.
No.
This is like a Kenyan like myself or yourself, or someone. And it's not Eliud Kipchoge, the marathoner.
No.
Someone who is a normal citizen who will actually say, look guys, I am so and so, and I have SHA, and this is what it has done for me. And I'm not being paid by, okay, maybe I will receive an allowance. But the point is, this is working. And you can engage with me, ask me questions. You know what an influencer does? An influencer will come and be like, hi guys, this is the new iPhone 17. Oh my God, it has. We need someone like that for Gava. And that person is not Gabriel Muthuma, and it's definitely not Isaac Mwaura. And neither is it Muhammad Hussein.
You know something?
Yeah.
I have an Uber guy. This discussion of SHA, he told me categorically it doesn't work. And I asked him, do you have one? He said, yes. Have you tried it and it has not worked? He said, no. Okay. Back and forth. We always have this discussion. He says, no, I told him it actually works. I need to understand SHA is the authority.
Yeah.
Then there are 3 services within SHA. You need to understand. And I would explain it to him. Not very long ago, he came to tell me, you are right. I said, about what?
Ile kitu nafanya.
That thing works. Said, oh, it works. Huh?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Told me that I was unwell. Said, that thing really works. He was now full of praise. I said, so what was that you're telling me before exactly?
What is it that you heard?
Yes, because you clearly, what had you heard? Oh, people are saying this. I said, but people say all sorts of things.
It doesn't make them right.
No.
Yeah.
See, we had this conversation many years ago on a radio station I worked for. And I remember somebody was in the studio said it doesn't work. And I asked the same question. Do you have it? He said no. So how do you know it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh, I was told by so-and-so. Okay. And you believe everything that so-and-so tells you. And that so-and-so, do they have it? And have they put it to the test? I don't know. So then why are you saying it doesn't work?
That's what I'm saying.
I said you need to give me information that is factual. A new system is going to have hiccups. And believe me, there are many things that will not work. Part of the problem was when people go to hospital and seeking services, you don't have the information that certain services are provided for at certain levels of hospitals.
Yeah.
You don't even know that. So you go to a level 6 and I told you, no. See, yes. It doesn't work. Because you need to go to level 2. You go to level 2 and you require level 6 or level 5 care. You told no. A desk where somebody helps you understand this thing. Simple desk. So when you come in, that's where you first go and say, what service are you seeking? This one. Then they explain to you because they know. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
Now, a work in progress should also be explained at the very beginning. This is what we are initiating. We expect that there will be problems. We need you to communicate these problems to us because that is what will help us improve and set it right. but you will know. Then there are those who argue, but why are you telling us this? Why didn't you pilot it first before you actually put it into operation? Well, that is talking about the horse when the stable door was long open and the horse has bolted. This is where we are now, so let's deal with where we are. What could have happened didn't happen. We are here. So since we are here, what do we do? Some people prefer to know. They should have piloted it. Said they didn't.
So now?
So we are here. And the pilot is actually, that's not entirely true. There's a pilot. Universal Healthcare pilot. There was there.
Yeah. I remember I was part of the pilot.
Precisely. I said it was there. It's just that they didn't cascade it to more counties as they should have. And we were told about the results, but we also don't know how it is the results that they found are being implemented. It is very likely that's what's being implemented. Again, that same communication discussion comes up. So people don't know, so they fill in the blanks.
Again, I was watching a German channel one time, and I saw something that truly shocked me. There was an advert on that particular channel, on that particular German channel, on waste management. And when I say waste management, I don't mean like county government and Dandora kind of waste management. I mean your own kwa nyumba yako kind of waste management. And I saw this channel this year, in the year 2025. And it was a very interesting advert. It was an infomercial where you're told, this is how you take care of the trash in your house. Mi nikaona wazungu wakiambiwa venye wata take care of trash in their own homes. And here I thought that Germany, being a first world country, advanced, whatever, they know how to take care of trash.
They're human beings.
Yes. Now, this is what, again, shocked me. That is the part that shocked me. The fact that, yes, they're human beings. Yes, they know how to take care of their own waste. But the government reminds them that, guys, we need to continue doing this.
Yes.
And they're told there's organic waste. This is where you dispose it.
Yes.
There's inorganic waste, the plastics and the metals and the glasses.
You separate them like this.
This is how you separate them. And it was an advert that ran for almost a minute and a half. And I was like, Sini, isn't this if we don't have that kind of information here in Kenya? Yes, we know we shouldn't trash. We know for a fact we shouldn't trash. Like where unajua uwezi mwaga takataka pa kwa studio. But someone is always there to remind you. And for me, that was it was a way of inculcating that culture into the people and to how they just run their daily lives. We don't have that kind of thing here. That is why in a matatu you could be driving behind a matatu, then someone just throws a bottle outside that matatu. And it's not like they don't know they shouldn't do it.
But don't you see people walking, peel the sweet, throws to the ground?
Atupatie karatasi kwa ground.
Yes.
I feel like our government is failing us in so many ways, and perhaps it's time we rethink government communication.
How should the government be in charge of waste paper? I mean, your own behavior. What do you want? You want the government to tell you how to behave?
Bro, you're missing the point.
Please tell me where I'm missing.
It's not like I do not know how to behave, okay? But do you know actually City Muga kuna watu in this country, they just don't give a damn where they throw their paper or their trash. And the reason those people are doing that, to be honest, is because they just don't know the kind of danger they're putting the environment. They have absolutely no idea the kind of danger they're putting themselves in by destroying their own environment.
Okay.
Na si kwa ubaya. Watu wengi wa ushago ndio wanakuanga na hiyo tabia.
Labda kwenu.
Haya. Acha tuende off ya kidogo na CT, tushikane mashati. And when we return, of course, the conversation continues on the People's Breakfast. 88.8 in Nairobi. And by the way, kama uko Mombasa, it's 90.7. Don't go too far. We'll be right back.
The sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. The Ministry of Health is using unprecedented transparency to fight healthcare fraud, giving the public full access to hospital payment data for the first time. Principal Secretary in the State Department for Medical Services, Ouma Oluga, during an interview with Radio Generation on Tuesday, said the initiative aims to strengthen accountability in the health sector. Hundreds of facilities have been closed or downgraded, while claims are being investigated to ensure services match payments and reduce healthcare costs.
There's a lot of concerns in the public, and those concerns are because of transparency, because we gave that information to the public. It's not because anyone went to dig for that information. So I think the outrage is legitimate, and but the outrage should be credited to us in terms of transparency. You cannot. So I think Kenya says sometimes you should give us credit. So the first thing you should give us credit for is giving you the information, because there is no time in the 62 years of NHIF that anyone ever read a claim of how much a hospital has been paid. This is the first time in the history of the world that you can go on our website and see that this hospital was paid this much. And that is part of the transparency and accountability that we want to institute.
Kenya has secured a place among 11 African countries set to benefit from 2.3 billion Kenya shillings funding package committed by European Union towards the Africa Broadband Mapping Systems project. The funding, worth 15 million euros, will be channeled in expanding digital infrastructure, with Kenya also earmarked to benefit from the EU's plan to extend the subsea Blue Cable project running from Djibouti to Tanzania. The announcement was made on August 25th, 2025 in Nairobi by EU Ambassador to Kenya Henriette Geiger during the launch of the project. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has said that Kenya's cost of living is easing, citing falling inflation and lower prices of basic commodities. Mbadi dismissed claims that the reduction in inflation was linked to technical changes in economic reporting, insisting the decline was real and reflected on households' budget. According to the CS, data shows that prices of essential goods such as maize flour, fuel and sugar have eased. He was speaking as the state launched the 2026-2027 budget making process in Nairobi on Monday.
So these are real data. That is the cost of living. Cost of living is about cost of basic commodities. And the statistics are there. And I don't think there is anyone who can dispute it. And if you want to know that that is the reality, early 2023, when we really felt that the cost of basic commodities could not be afforded by ordinary people, we had sufurias on our heads. Today, how many people are in the streets with the sufurias on their heads? I don't see them.
The National Police Service has responded to a media story which armed goons raided a business premise along Kimathi Street in Nairobi Central Business District. Police says detectives investigating the incident that took place last Friday at Nanak House established that it was a deliberate attack on 4 businesses linked to an internal civil dispute already before court. The NPS says one suspect has been arrested and more arrests are expected. The service added that the CBD remains one of the most secure areas to conduct business and the overall security situation in the country is commendably good. U.S. President Donald Trump said Monday that he will sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at some point again following the historic meetings during Trump's first term. Trump told reporters in the Oval Office that he looks forward to a potential third meeting with the North Korean leader just minutes before he was set to host South Korea's new president Lee Jae-myung at White House. Trump and Kim met twice during his first term, including a 2019 sit-down that took place in the heavily militarized border area separating the Koreas known as DMZ.
We even had a press conference. He had his first press conference. Kim Jong-un had a press conference. This was a little different press conference. I said, have you done a press conference before? No. And you know what? He did great. It was a great press conference, actually. It was historic. I doubt he's done one since. But I said, would you like to meet the fake news? Because whatever you want to do. And they came in like you've never seen anything like it.
And that's the Truth on Radio Generation. Good morning. I'm Winnie Maganga.
In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
Yes, indeed. A very good morning to you. It's now 8 minutes past 9 o'clock. My name is Mungala Mbuvi. How are you doing? Where are you listening to us from? We definitely value your feedback as far as the content is concerned. And in the previous hour, we were just talking about a couple of things. We also had the PS from the Ministry of Health, that is Dr. Omo Oluga. Na kuna vitu alisema hapo, sijui siti kama ulisikiza, but I'm gonna attach it to this story by CS Mbadi. Mbadi defends Ruto's economic record, says life is cheaper than 2022. Now, the PS did also say that Kenya is no longer, we are at number 6 kwa index ya, rich countries in Africa, I think he said. Previously, we were at number 8. He also said that in 2021, we moved from, I'm forgetting what he said we moved from. But he said that kuna mali tulikuwa in 2021 and we are no longer there.
There is a grading of countries depending on their economic performances.
Yes.
Right? And it places you into certain categories.
Yeah, so he said we're no longer poor.
No, that particular category, the theory is that, and I'm calling it theory, that we moved to a middle income status. Okay?
Okay.
Me, that thing is a complete hoax as far as I'm concerned.
The fact that you've called that thing.
Yeah, it's... do you feel as though we are in that class that they're talking about? Do you actually... The people who determine and tweak these things have indicators that they look at. And I'm going to take the view that they looked at it and they decided we fall into that category.
Okay.
Okay? So...
Page 11 of the Standard, it says economic policies have eased the cost of living in the country. According to the CS, life for the ordinary citizen is less expensive today compared to 20 of fuel, maize flour and sugar as indicators, while dismissing critics who argue that economic policies are not crafted in churches or funeral rallies. The CS noted that the government, fully aware of the debt burden weighing on the economy, also took steps to minimize risks linked to the Eurobond obligation falling due in May 2027. He recalled the 2024 Eurobond crisis when the bond was maturing in June, leading the shilling to depreciate to 165 shillings against the US dollar, and the currency has since strengthened to 129 bob. So anyway, in very many words, what the CS is saying is that we are no longer, we are having an easier time as Kenyans. Things are cheaper. And, regardless of whether the president has been doing rounds in churches and donating money in harambes, we are doing good.
There's, you've now taken us to the realm of economics. Yeah? When someone talks about the low cost of living, what they're telling you about is a general statistical average for a geographical area, like a country. So this is maths, okay? Average. Meaning you've taken the highest, the lowest, bumped them together, divided by, and you found an average.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But the ability to afford the goods and services, that is now determined by the individuals and the households' income and their capacity to spend on whatever it is they need. Because it is the services, it is goods, it is everything that involves. Now, if the income is low and the needs of the household, say, is steady,
yes,
the index may even show that the cost of living has gone down, but they can't afford it. So you have to understand, for instance, that even when people talk about the economic growth of a country, the reflection is not the sum total of how much a country generates in terms of revenue. That can be represented by a very small percentage of people who have that amount of money and control the big businesses that represents the money. But if you're talking about looking at the economy holistically and you're asking, do we have new businesses coming up? Do we have industries growing and employing more people? You see, if people have money, it means they can buy.
Yes.
If they can buy, whoever produces can produce more. When they produce more, then they're able to employ more people to help them produce more. If you produce the raw materials, then that raw material, more of it will be required.
Yeah.
And again, you will also have to get more people to help you in the aggregation of whatever it is that you do. That's increased economic activity. Now, so when the CS for
Treasury
talks about what he's saying, what do you see actually happening? Do you see more people being able to afford more, or do you see less people being able to afford more?
I'm afraid I'll say that people are unable to afford anything.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yes. So you need to differentiate between the maths that you do when you're trying to understand economics and the lived reality of people.
Okay.
You have to understand it. And in this country, the driving force that is behind what we term as business in this country is what we call the Juakali industry, the so-called informal sector. That's where most people conduct their business. Now, that business is dependent on people who earn a living elsewhere. If the number of businesses in this country that such people conducted, we are being informed, some are reducing the number of people who work there, some are absolutely shutting down. So, the people who produce these goods and services at that level will have fewer and fewer people buying their goods. They'll have fewer and fewer incentives to get more material, meaning the reverse of what I'd said earlier on is what will happen.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue and ask, is that what we see being represented in the country? The answer is yes. So, when he talks about this particular reduction of cost of living, it is true. But the citizenry cannot afford that low cost of living. So for them, it isn't low.
It's still unaffordable.
It is not as affordable. And how do you know it's not affordable? You compare it with what they could do when they could afford it and now. If what you're earning is less, and this is against certain things happening, like cost of fuel going up, because that when it goes up immediately, goods and services will also go up. Because the transportation costs, that cost is passed on. The person who bears the brunt of it is the one who buys whatever is being transported. Okay? So, essentially, what he's saying, for purposes of theory and understanding economics, yes, it is a good discussion point, but the lived reality is simply this. People are buying less than they were able to buy before.
I agree, because like a few weekends back, we had to go to Ushago. And people would come with their vehicles. Others would, and this I'm talking about years ago. They would hire vehicles for those who do not have cars, even hire drivers to drive them to these locations. But like I said, a few weekends ago, we had a similar situation, and what wakutokezea Ushago, because number one, those with cars don't have fuel to fuel their cars. So gari iko lakini ina mafuta, but iko. Now there's the option of carpooling, of course, where you can have 6 of your relatives in your Toyota Vox, your Toyota Noah, and you all go together to Shags. But now, hata hiyo kuchanga thao hawana. Someone is like, I literally have 1,000 bob. And literally. And I will not spend it on fuel and sleep hungry.
No. So I'd rather not go because I need to eat.
So when you're Ushago, you represent us.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how bad it is. So when we say that unge imeenda chini ndio, but people are still unable to afford that fuel. That unga, sorry.
You see, there's the average income that is spoken of by economics. That one, average, is what we said. You aggregate those who earn high, low, average. Okay? Then there's the median, where these two meet. When that median is low, then the number of poor people are more. It's not complicated. But the discussion that Mbadi seems to be having is on the average. And the average can be misleading. Because you can have very few people, but they are so wealthy.
Yeah.
If you look at, for instance, the amount of money that our banks make, and the profits in the billions and tens, 2-digit billions, that goes into this calculation. Okay? You are talking about somebody who, the money they have at that point in time is 1,000. That's it. So that though he has a saving, he can go to
nothing.
No, that 1,000 is it. But it's a discussion because there was a time he had more than that 1,000.
Yeah.
And he could contribute. Now he can't. The same applies to people whose shags is far away from town, where there's a function you'd like to attend, but just the logistical cost, you figure, why don't I just send you the money?
Yeah. Actually, nowadays, that is what happens.
Why don't I just send you the money? Because it's going to cost me to come. So what's the use of me coming and I have nothing to contribute to you? Why don't I just contribute?
And then when I come and I don't contribute, again, there's that issue of, naskizi mbuvi anajifanya ngani hata hizi toa kitu.
Na hiyo kitu ndio huna.
Na saizo hajui mbuvi amesota.
Yes, exactly.
So I'd rather send you that 500 bob as opposed to spending fuel, coming to your function, still spending on maybe accommodation, spending on entertainment, the food, the drinks, and God knows what else. I'd rather send you that 500 bob. Jibambe nayo.
You see, when you have what we have in this country, people who are employed in factories, people employed in commercial centers, people who fall in the brackets of those who have lower incomes. Okay? What do you think happens when those who own these businesses can't afford certain things? They will either reduce what they're paying you, or they'll pay you intermittently when they get the money.
Yeah.
Or they'll let go of some people. And these aren't numbers which have reached an ebbing point where they're not increasing. They're increasing. They may have slowed down, but they're increasing. Now, you cannot have the scenario that I am painting, and then you look at the statistical figure, and that alone is what you say is the true reflection of the picture of the economy of the country. It is not. It is not.
Yeah.
It is not. Talk to anybody who is, for instance, in the transport sector, like say Uber. I know about Ubers because I use Ubers all the time.
Yeah.
They will tell you the Ubers have increased. Okay? You know, Uber for me is any taxi that functions on an app. For me, the generic term is Uber.
It could be Bolt, but
it is Uber. It could be Farasi. It is Uber. Okay?
It could be Yego.
It is Uber. Okay? And they will tell you that what we used to make before is not what we're making now. They'll blame it on the app and say the people who have this app, the way they configure these algorithms, the other will tell you it's fine. I find I make a living. When you talk to more and more people, you realize the real complaint is this. So that they're not making money. They're not making as much money as they used to make.
Right.
That really is the issue. Okay? Partly it's because the numbers of people in that business have increased. Now again, the law of supply and demand. When you have that situation, you have what you call competition. When you have these other apps coming up, you have what you call competition. Competition becomes competition when you're looking for the same customers. So how do you attract them? You lower your costs. Or you provide a service, or you're constantly innovating. So instead of just Uber, you can have Uber Share. All right? Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because anyone who is in business and understands the changing dynamics of business will understand that you need to be alert to the needs, and you need to be alert to the changes you need to make in order to remain relevant in that sphere of business. Now, when you're talking about an economy, this is where I go back to the World Bank discussions around austerity, which, as you've heard me say on many occasions, is complete gobbledygook. It is utter and undiluted hogwash because we don't have money right now. The taxation, as was explained by Dr. Luga, I even understand it. If you want this thing to work, then you need to inject more money into the economy so that there's more money available. people will happily pay that 2.7 because they have more money. The complaint is because they feel what they had before has reduced, and then you want to take more from it. That's the problem. Second problem, the complaint is you're taking money, but we don't see the requisite services for the money that you're taking. Why are we going to hospital and we still can't get medicine and you're deducting this money? There's a complaint. So when he says they move from 44% to 60%, it's an improvement, but 100% is what we want.
Yeah.
The economy is complicated if somebody wants to complicate it. Understanding it is something that can be easily explained. Right? When you wake up at the hours we wake up to come to work, you will find that the people who you find walking at that hour are more than they used to be a year ago. They're not walking because this is in pursuant of good health. They need to go to wherever they're going to, and they can't afford to pay for other transport. So they use the transport that God gave them, their feet.
Mitsubishi. No, Futsubishi.
Because do I pay 100 bob back and forth because there's 50 bob, or do I leave that 100 bob at home so that people can buy something to eat? Those are the economic decisions that people who are low-income earners have to. And if you are going to look for a job in industrial area where you may not necessarily get a job and it's a day job, you can't afford to spend any money that you have unless you absolutely have to.
You know me, I have so many of friends and colleagues who always, get into my DMs and they ask and they borrow money because some of them have been laid off. Some of them, their businesses shut down. And you go to a point whereby I also realized I really can't help everyone.
No, that you can't, even if you want to.
Yes, you really can't help everyone.
No, you can't.
Unless now you just become Mother Teresa, of which PIA hangesaidia kila mtu.
You can't, Chief.
But it's an indicator that things are not doing well.
No, they're not.
And it's in every industry. And I want to tie it to this story that I was reading here a few pages back, still on the Standard.
Continue.
It was about insecurity. Because I can actually see a connection between insecurity and the cost of living right now. Where is it? Hii page inanikataa kwa nini? Oh yeah, here it is. Teen gangs unleash wave of violence in Nairobi's Eastlands. Let me just read kidogo. The gangs prey on youths, recruiting by force, punishing deserters, and terrorizing those who resist. Recently, a 15-year-old boy lost his life after a fight with his peers. It was reported that the boys were fighting over a ring. Residents of Nairobi's Umoja Estate and surrounding neighborhoods are worried about a wave of violence being unleashed by juvenile criminals. In some of the residential estates, there exists a group of teenage boys in gangs known as Mbogi, who are ironically emboldened by the crimes they commit. They fight, brandish knives, and share videos online that glorify violence and spread fear. Now, according to those who spoke to the Standard, the situation is getting out of hand. While the boys are still very young and mostly school-going, their actions have already caused injuries, fear, and even death. Now, some of these gangs, when you look at them, they are robbing people in the streets. Yeah, and these are young children. Young children who should actually be at home with their parents providing for them. But it has gotten to a point whereby parents are unable even to provide for their own kids. And kids are actually getting to the streets, getting into gangs like you've had, fighting over a ring, fighting over what I feel are matters to do with the economy. So when we say that things are, because I remember back in the day, we used to play football and we used to wait for lunchtime. And I used to like to love the voice of my mother calling me for lunch, or the house help or house manager. And that was the only thing we're thinking about. Hatukuwa nafikiria kwa tungeta. Kulikuwa na ice cream kwa barabara. Some guys would come with trolleys of ice cream and they would ring a bell. And for as little as 1 shilling, you had that icicle.
The lolly.
Exactly. Unakamumunya yani mpaka kanaisha. And it was just water and some dextroso. But now, those things even the parents cannot afford for kids. Chipo Muito, I remember back in the day when I was growing up. You know what Chipo Muito is, Ben?
What on earth is that?
So Chips Muito ni chips ya barabara. Where you find a woman with a large sufuria boiling chips kwa mafuta. Back in the day, you could afford chips at shilingi 5, shilingi 10, shilingi 15. So it was in batches of 5. So if you want 15 bob utafungiwa. Nowadays I think the cheapest is 50 bob. Na nika chips kadogo sana.
Which means potatoes cost more.
Exactly.
The oil with which it is fried costs more.
Even more.
Yes.
So kids are now focused on where their next meal will come from and not focusing on what should actually make them happy. Cheza birikicho, police and robbers, tapo, kati, and all sorts of games that we used to play. Now they're getting into gangs.
Well, you play video games, and many video games are violent. If you look at, we're still talking about the cost of living.
Yes.
And you look at the indices that are used. There is the theoretical basket of food and what it costs. The basket is supposed to have the basics. In our case, it's ugali, cooking oil, rice for those who can afford it, basic,
salt, sugar,
soap, basics, what it costs. Okay. I believe this is what the CS Finance is saying has gone down. See, the unfortunate thing is that the assumption that people are affording it means that people are living a life they can afford and that it is dignified. But there are other things that come into the equation of costs beyond that basket that we refer to, or the reference point. There's healthcare. There's school fees. These are basics. They are necessities. There is no running away from it. Now, if these things have a cost element to it that seems to increase, whatever income you have, let's say it hasn't reduced, it will eat into that income. The understanding of the taxes that we speak of was so that some of these things are taken care of. Health, you don't have to think about, just go, get treated, and you're okay. That's not the case. You pay. It was assumed that, say, primary education needs to be free. It is not free. You have to pay. Before the cost of learning in the universities was reduced, it was high. Again, you have to pay. It's the same income, and the demands keep stretching it. So it isn't possible for someone whose income, let's say, theoretically has not even been touched, to have the same life they were living before. They can't, simply because beyond the basket by which we use as an index to measure has broadened, and all the other things also form part of that basket. So that income is not stretching as these things stretch. It is constant. You would be able to afford a better living if your income increased.
Yeah.
But in our case, not really.
Actually, income is now decreasing.
Yes.
For people who are employed, they're either on, what is it called? Mshahara inakatwa, forgetting the term we use in English. But they literally have salary cuts and so on and so forth. Businesses, obviously, like we were saying, have had to take lesser and less income because purchasing power of their customers has also gone down.
It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. But it's a downward spiraling vicious cycle in this sense. If you have a situation where more of this is happening, then it means more people will not be able to afford this so-called low cost of living. Okay? Remember the Kodogo economy that we speak of? When inflation reached a certain level, it became apparent that the manner in which foods were packaged could not be afforded. So those who manufactured them decided to package smaller quantities that were easily affordable.
Yes, like the margarine, Kadogo.
Yes.
The kamafuta kakupika, the small one.
Yes,
that you could actually buy for about even 10-15 shillings.
That was the purpose, so that it is affordable. Right? And that is where you'd find somebody who's selling sukuma wiki. You can buy it already cut into pieces.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So your job is just to wash it kidogo and cook.
Yeah.
For bachelors, in that same place, that thing could be boiled for you right there and then. And if you are partial to eating eggs, it can also be just hapo too. So you go home with a packed meal, so all you go and do is eat. And there's a kaugali, okay?
Yeah.
That is constantly warm.
Dabaka kuna ugali sosa.
Yes. The point I'm trying to make is, when you find such measures being taken, those are people who are responding to the economy, and they are looking for ways in which, one, they can make a living, but at the same time provide a service at the level that those who seek the service can afford. And when you find these indications, because these are also indices. When you find them increasing, people are not getting wealthier, they're getting poorer. It was common when people started to work that they shared living quarters. That was normal.
Yeah.
All right? But when you have situations where people get to a point where they send, and I saw this in the COVID era, they send their families home. You go back to
shags
home. See, there are schools there. Children can go to school. You come back to the situation where you are at when you are single and you started working. You are sharing a room with a friend.
You go back to bachelorhood.
Yes, because you can't afford to live on your own. When you find such things happening, then you cannot in good conscience tell us that we are doing better. We are not. No. What is doing better are our statistics. They are doing very well. But the actual life that people are living and the dignity that they once have, that is being fast eroded.
Justina Omai, when she was here, she told us that even in the construction industry, things have gone down. People are no longer constructing. So that means watu wanunui simiti anymore. That means the manufacturer is hurting.
She knows because it's a business she understands.
Exactly.
And she's involved in.
She is in construction.
She was telling you what her lived experience is.
Now, if people are not constructing, that means there are no constructors.
Yes.
So the masons, kazi imeisha.
Yes.
The carpenters, kazi imeisha.
Electricians.
Imeisha.
So?
Yeah. Such that yani mkiona mjengo moja pale, you find that 70,000 people are going to find kama kuna kazi kwa hiyo mjengo.
When an economy is booming, you don't need affordable housing to be able to get work. Individuals will have work for you.
Yeah.
Because they have money, they have this unit, they want to expand. That house they had at home, they're extending it and they want to put A, B, C, D. They have the money. So people actually find work. There's a lot of it around. You more or less have to choose what it is you want to do. Now, if you find that the reality is what we are saying, then you have no option but to conclude that this so-called upward mobility, economy improving and people's lives improving is actually not true.
I find what Gypsy Corner on YouTube is saying, that Kenya is in the ICU. Life is only great where Ruto has done projects and given bribes. So I guess what Gypsy Corner is saying here is when the president has probably gone to a place and he has said hapa tumetenga, that's the only time life is good there.
Well, Gypsy Corner may be talking about his lived reality, what he has seen, and you cannot question or doubt what he's saying. But the indicators of a growing economy, it's not difficult to tell. If you live in a town, you will find that even when schools are in session, there's a certain time in the month where you find more vehicles on the road than in other times. And you can even tell when the traffic goes down.
And you know that's a very bad indication of things, because why is it at end month kila mtu atokanga na gari?
Yes,
we know. I mean, we know why.
Yes, we know why.
Ni tumelipwa mishahara.
Yes, you can fuel the car, pig around kidogo, but you want to finish the full tank.
Yeah.
That when you leave the car at home for emergencies, you may need to use the car.
Yeah.
Then you get into public transport.
The other times you're using matatu.
Yes, matatu, because matatu is crowd transport. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Wholesale. Okay.
Bei ya jioni.
Exactly. This thing of taking Uber out. So, and I said, Uber is generic for all these apps.
All of them.
So they come up with you can share. Yeah. I was being told about this story in Mombasa. My brother who lives there, that tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
People share tuk-tuk now. If you're going to a certain destination, you can find the three of you in that tuk-tuk.
But it's been like that.
Does that tell you that people can afford?
No.
Yes. You need to share.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you find with our border, you find three people on a border?
Unapata dereva amekalia the handlebar.
My friend.
The guy is struggling to make a corner. And let's all lie left.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, left.
So that he can, because the handlebar can't turn.
His body is preventing it from turning because he's literally on it.
Yes.
See?
And it's that bad.
Now, see, these are the real indicators of what is actually happening. All those people who are sharing, if the economy was good, they'll be the only rider on that bike.
Right.
Tuk-tuk, they'd be the only person on that tuk-tuk. These taxis, they'd be the only people on that on those taxis. But that is not the case. We have living examples that we see on a daily basis, which tell you the economy is not what we're being told it is.
Now that you've mentioned these taxis, a cousin of mine had visited us over the weekend, so he had to take a taxi home, and they got to a certain point. He was going all the way to Choka. They got to a certain point when they reached
Where is Choka?
Choka iko huko side za Ruai.
Okay.
Basically, it's very far. I'm sorry to the people of Chaka if you're listening. Mukombali, nyinyi na watu wa Kitengela, there's no difference. But yeah, so when the taxi got to town, dereva akamwambia cancel the ride. And we could see, because on our end we were the ones who had actually
you told them we will pay for.
Yeah. So dereva akazima akakata ile app. But when they got to Choka, they paid the full amount. The taxi man was paid the full amount.
Because he did get to where he wanted to go.
Yes. So he didn't want to pay. It was actually a Bolt. He didn't want to pay Bolt the entire amount.
No, he didn't want to pay the commission.
So he was So he only paid commission ile imefika town. Which in town, I think it must have been probably maybe 200, 300 maximum.
Yes.
So the commission he paid on that was probably 100 bob or less.
Yes.
But he got the full payment when he got to Choka. So again, an indicator that things are not doing well, even for them, because Kitambo, they wouldn't do that nonsense. They would take you, pay the full fare, and feel good about it. And they would get another customer in Choka, bring them back to town, and business was good for them. But now it's actually really bad, where they're actually even stealing.
You know, these people experience the economy every day, every hour.
Oh, yes.
They actually experience it. As I said, I use Uber. Let me say I use the taxis daily. These app taxis, I use them daily.
Yes.
And I always have this conversation. Believe me, they used to sort of like, you go to one place, you move around. Said they no longer do that because you're burning fuel. You stay in a place and pray to God that things change. Even with them, they have circles. So depending on where you are, you can say business seems to be good here. So when they leave because they know they're going to a place where business is now good. The dynamics have changed. People are learning to be far, far, far more creative. In my mind, that is actually a good thing.
And by the way, before I forget, before you give me that point of view, there are certain drivers who have got multiple apps. So you find you're a driver.
No, not some. Literally
all of them. So you find that you have Uber, you have Bolt, you're driving for Farasi, you're driving for Yego, you're driving for and that kuna zingine mpya zimetokezea sijui zinaitwaje. So you find a driver is driving for 7 apps at the same time. So his phone actually has like 3 devices. They're always on, waiting for whichever will pick up a customer first.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's survival. Now you see, that's what you call enterprise. Because there's no rule that stops you from being of service to any of these, because you can only utilize one at a time.
True.
You see? But that's enterprise. And then some will tell you there are certain apps they won't use, and they'll give you reasons why they don't use them. Again, you see, these apps have brought in competition. The beneficiary is the customer who uses them. Now, going back to the article that you were reading.
Yes.
It is fine that a government should raise money from their people to fund projects that will benefit the citizenry. It is a form of forced saving, and it should benefit you. If a country has a people who have a good savings culture, then you will find that financial institutions where most of this money is nestled will have lots of money that they can actually lend out. What we don't understand is that when you hear you've been lent money by a country like, say, Japan, it's their taxpayers' money that they're lending you, just so that you understand. But they're lending you something which exists and which they have It also tells you their people are disciplined and they're able to save. That's why their governments are able to lend other people or even donate to other people. See? True thinking should not be, how do we find new ways of begging for money? It should be, how do we become like these people so that we also have that sort of money? So that when we borrow, we are borrowing in our own currency. How do we get there? You know, the interesting thing about the history of East Africa.
Yeah.
We had gotten quite close to getting there. We had learned to share resources. The East African community had taught us that. Post and telecommunications, the headquarters was in Kampala. East African, yes. Second railways and harbors, it was in Kenya. Our universities was the University of East Africa. If you wanted to study law, you went to Dar. If you want to study medicine, you went to Makerere. Oh yes, technical subjects like Nairobi University was called the Royal Technical College before it even became University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
East African Airways. We had a currency. You did not need to go to any money changer. If you went to Uganda, the Kenyan shilling, it was accepted. If you went to Tanzania, it was accepted, and vice versa. They were on par. So, that union existed long before the EU. Long, decades and decades before the EU.
Yeah.
Now, imagine if this thing flourished and it grew. The discussion they were having was now the leadership. What do you do with the leadership? Okay?
Yeah. Do we have one president?
Yes. Or how do we work this thing out? It was scuttled. It broke up. The sharing of whatever assets were there. Today, there are still people who still complain that Kenyans took advantage of them. They got moved the land share. Easy to be as to Mbovu. Anyway. So, it's a narrative. Why am I telling you this story? I am saying that the best thing that has happened to us is, this is the statement I'd started, and you said you'll give me time. Now I'm telling it to you.
Yes.
I wanted to preamble it.
Okay.
When you get to a stage where there's nobody who's giving you money, you have to dig deep and figure out how you're going to sort out your own problems. And the whole thinking about how we manage the country will also change. And the citizenry will feel the pinch. And when you feel the pinch, you'll be far more careful about the resources that you give in terms of your taxes and how they're used. The accountability factor that we keep talking about here will become a reality. Because you know, if this thing isn't utilized the way it should, these guys are going to come for more money. So before you come for more money, tell us how you've used the one we've given you.
Yeah.
But the resilience and the creativity that then the country develops as a result of the problems becomes more. I'm going to give an example of what I mean. When structural adjustment programs came into the country, many people suffered. It's in the 90s.
Yeah.
The government had reduced its workforce. They had something called a golden handshake. You get to 40, you can retire.
Yeah.
The amount which was being offered then was considered good. So you 40,000, you 50,000. Many people left.
40,000 what? Kenyan shillings?
Yes.
Which year is this again?
We're in the 90s.
Okay.
1990s, the previous century. Okay? Many middle-level people left work. They took the handshake. They moved on. There are other things that were forced to do, like sell government houses. It opened up Pandora's box that we're still suffering from now.
Okay.
Because the government was actually given leeway to sell things. Now you can imagine the sort of shenanigans that went on. People allocating things themselves, cronies, what have you. But these were assets that the government had owned, government parastatals had owned. An entire Pandora's box was opened. But what was significant, and this is what I'm getting to, is that what had been the informal sector, which was known to be a sector where people who don't have a very good education, people who have no option but to do those things, people who had skills and education entered it. They brought innovations.
Yes.
Now, the full result of that innovation is what you see at petrol stations, where you have a cafe, some you have a small shopping center, you have a barber shop, you have a pharmacy, that one.
Yeah.
Okay? You have a restaurant, you have a car wash, you have a barber shop, that one. People realize that you don't have to go to very many places. Now, this creativity. If somebody has ordered meat, it takes half an hour. In that half an hour, you can have a haircut. You can also have your car washed if you have a car. See? It is thinking and creativity. Now, you see the flourishing of these things all over the place.
Yes.
Again, thinking and what?
Creativity.
And it's brought about when people realize this normal business that we have aren't quite working the way it is working. But it's still not stopping people from those who have the money to build malls. There are very many things that happen inadvertently. It may not be the plan, but because certain hardships are visited upon us, people then think and they're more creative and they do what it is that they're doing. Because they realize, I have no choice. And people who are doing these businesses increase in number. Now, if there is money circulating in the country, then you'll actually find the country is flourishing. Because as I said, these people who are in the informal sector buy certain things from other people. Those who they buy from create them. This money that the government keeps looking for will be in abundance. But see, my thinking is not in terms of the national government. My thinking is in terms of the county governments. Because county governments are governments. If they ensured that the things that they benefit from and they have an advantage over. Remember the discussion, you hear me saying it, intra-county businesses.
Yes.
So that own source revenue is increased and the supply of goods and services is made possible because certain areas have certain strengths better than others. It's already happening in terms of the movement of food products and so forth. But you structure it differently. I'm simply saying this. Looking for solutions that will benefit us and which we create ourselves is being forced upon us because we are no longer going to be getting this aid or this help. That to me is a good thing.
And I actually thought when he mentioned companies, not companies, but organizations such as USAID, he mentioned the UK, he mentioned GIZ. Actually, I actually thought GIZ left ages ago because I've not been seeing the activity. Yeah. And so he mentioned all these, things. That is now PS Oluga. And for a very long time, I thought, because he said what 35% of
healthcare
is foreign funded.
Oh yes, simple reality.
I was like, get out of here.
Oh yes.
I thought it was malaria and HIV.
No. And that is direct funding that the Ministry of Health gets. Ministry of Health gets to support certain programs within it. That has nothing to do with research money that comes in again from foreign donors to conduct research projects.
We've been babied for a very long time, in my opinion.
HIV and AIDS helped us considerably because with HIV, the funding did not just include the ARVs. It included the cost of providing care for opportunistic diseases, whether it's a cold, a cough, malaria, all that. And this is money that went into healthcare.
So wait, what are you saying? You're saying that the money that was directed for HIV treatment and prevention?
It wasn't just antiretrovirals. The opportunistic diseases that eventually, if untreated, would kill people, whatever they are, and it's anything.
Could be anything from a cough to malaria.
They provided medication for that also.
So as long as you have HIV and you're going for the ARVs, you get your ARVs plus.
Anything else that you may have that ARV has opened you up to, you will get. So that burden was off the shoulders, because that was funded fully. It was off the shoulders of our government. Off. And what went with it also was blood donation, because to detect and understand HIV, it is your blood that was utilized. So the process of ensuring that you have understood the nature and the quality of that blood and the process that you need to determine that the blood is safe, that was also funded.
Through that same HIV funding.
It was funded. What is now strange was funding, they tell you how long the funding will take, and they start telling you we have 3 more. They tell you in advance, so you know. We had a situation where the blood bank in this country started having crises, And one of the things that I heard, which was really fascinating, was that there was a crisis because somebody had not included the blood bank into the budget of Ministry of Health. Until I said, what? You actually get shocked. You forgot.
You have one job. You have one job.
You forgot.
And you forgot. And you receive a salo.
It was documented. It's not me saying. It was in the paper. You forgot. Forgot. But what it mirrored was how we had gotten used to this thing being funded by the people. I can actually see how they forgot. It's not that I can't see.
No.
I can. But my friend, what does it tell you? We had gotten accustomed to being babied, as you call it.
Yeah.
So we were not thinking. Because every year it was funded. You just found it was there, it was working, and they were funding, even paying salary. It was funded. Precisely. They forgot that there was a time we had that blood bank and we didn't have that foreign funding. But we had it, and it worked and it functioned. There's something strange about our country and how we've moved backwards as opposed to moving forward. People talk about the agricultural extension services that we used to have. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, what many people don't know, it was not just you have somebody who visits small-scale farmers who tell them what to do and how to do it. There were health extension workers. We now have them who used to go around looking at making sure that those bushes are sprayed so that mosquitoes don't live there, advising mothers on how to look after children. They were there. Every district had a mechanized unit. Ministry of Agriculture. Mechanized unit had tractors that could plow for you with all the implements, earth movers that could build roads. So within districts, you had units that could build farm roads. And people who trained who knew how to do it. Forget Ministry of Works.
Yeah.
They did their thing. And also Ministry of Works were at a district level and they knew what to do at a district level. All right? The county government was supposed to have made these things possible. That's why you find some roads under the county government. But you ask yourself and ask how many county governments actually have the equipment for making roads which are their own.
Counties are what we used to have as districts kitambo.
No. Kitambo sana.
Do you understand?
Right.
So now, you're saying that, so where did that equipment go? Because I'm assuming Machakos County, being Machakos district at one point, had the machinery.
Oh, they did. And the people to manage too.
Kitui County.
Every
Kitui district.
Had.
Yeah.
They had. Those mechanized services were partly, it was so that farmers could actually hire tractors to plow for them during plowing season, harrow the works. That is the understanding. Roads that need repair, like it has rained, the equipment is there to make sure that those roads are maintained. It was there. Now, where you see this in full swing is if you go to the tea estates. Those roads are not tarmacked, but they are beautifully maintained. All weather roads, smooth. They are maintained. They have the equipment. Those in the sugar belt had similar things. The sugar factories also had such units to maintain the roads. In some cases, you'll find skeletons of this equipment. In some cases, there's no skeleton, and yet the equipment existed. So you keep asking. There are many things that we need to do, but the thing that perhaps needs the biggest change is our mindset.
Yep.
If we don't think differently, and we are not disciplined differently, these changes that we keep talking about will never actually achieve, because we'll start things and never complete them, and it won't matter. We are a country who, when we talk about projects that are unfinished and the value in the hundreds of billions, it is shameful.
Do you believe that since 1962, 63, whatever, when we got our independence, right now we still have roads that are still untarmacked?
Many, but they don't have to be tarmacked.
Yeah.
They don't have to be. They just need to be all-weather roads. A road which, when it rains, you can still travel. Yes.
Yeah.
They don't have to be tarmacked.
That in 62 years of independence, we still have hospitals that are understaffed. Yet we have universities that actually teach medicine. We have universities that teach nursing. We actually even export our own doctors and nurses.
We have a surplus of such professionals in the country.
We're unable to employ teachers.
Yes, we have,
we
have a surplus. Human resources, we have a surplus. The struggle should be, how do you grow the economy so that you can absorb these people? Because we need them. It's not that we don't need them. We do need them. Surplus is when you have all you need. Yes, we have them, we don't utilize. So the gap should be filled. Because when that gap is filled, then the services we speak of will be provided to the level that we ought to provide to the citizenry. So when you read that article about young people joining gangs and what have you, when you're young, you pick up certain vibes from your parents and those who are older.
Okay.
If parents are struggling to make a living, they're hardly at home. So children are not parented. They're parenting themselves. And that is the outcome. Already in the 21st century, parenting is in serious competition with social media.
Yeah.
The whole world is at your fingertips. That's your competition. And the values that the children have are values that you may not particularly want, again, at their fingertips. So parenting becomes infinitely more difficult. We're in an interesting situation, and we are in interesting times, wouldn't you say?
We are indeed. We are. And I'm just thinking, if we do not get, and this is where we're always told as voters, that if we do not get things right at the ballot, my friend.
Yes, that story is fake, and it's also not true.
Getting things right at the ballot.
Not the ballot.
It is the ballot.
No, it is not.
But then imagine shida iko kwa ballot.
It is not.
And don't tell me it's about holding our leaders to account.
Oh, that's exactly what I'm going to tell you.
Because I knew that's where you were going.
But that's where I always go.
It has been your thesis since you came here.
No, that's my hypothesis.
This is what I'm trying to say, CT. That whatever happens, if we do not get it right at the ballot, it will be very difficult to get it right once those guys are already there.
Get it right in determining who even goes to that ballot before you start voting. The accountability factor has to begin even as people are campaigning. That's when they need your vote, so you can actually hold them hostage because they need your vote. Once you vote for them, that horse has bolted. It has gone. Kwisha, they'll do what they want.
City anakwanga mtu wa kufa, makanga kufa, dereva kufa, kila mtu. All right, so we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Soldier Boy, David Chumo, tuko na yeye nani mwingine. A couple of you that nilikuwa nimeona majina zenu zikapotea. Mohamed Murunga, Wafula team, Gypsy Corner. Thanks folks for tuning in, and for those that I haven't mentioned. We do this again tomorrow, same time from 6 a.m. all the way till 10. Now msisahau, be good boys and girls. But for now though, I leave in the safe hands of Winnie Maganga. She's coming through with the news.
It's 10 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul.